All right, Mel. Let's say that we just met. I walk up to you. We're both One Piece fans, and I walk up to you and I go, "Hey, I skipped Skypiea. What do you say to me?"
First things first, I'm punching you in the nose, obviously. Uh, Second thing is I'd ask why. Why did you skip Skypiea?
I'm glad you
And
asked.
usually, do you have an answer for
I
me?
do, I do. This is real arguments that people have, and we're gonna go
Okay.
through it, and then you would ask why. I would say because it was boring, and not just because it was boring. I would say also it's okay that I skipped it because nothing that happens in that arc you have to remember when watching later arcs, especially the flashback.
That's just so sad. That is just so sad. So then, of course, my second question after that is, what are you watching One Piece for? If you're watching One Piece with the idea that, well, this just doesn't matter, do you not, feel you're wanting to watch a story, a worldly narrative, or like, what are you here for?
I think
If you think
this person would say, I'm trying to get caught up to One Piece as fast as possible, and I looked ahead a little bit. This is the person that's already looked ahead.
I
Yeah,
know.
and they want to get into, I guess, Water 7, I suppose. So this person probably even skipped G8.
Well, look, I always hate the comment of I skipped it because it's not relevant, and I always thought that was crazy because that's literally Robin's first arc with the Straw Hats, and in that arc, we have no idea who Robin is. Like, I feel like when people skip Skypiea with knowing what's happening ahead, it's because they think, well, I know Robin now. Why should I now look at this arc? Because I've been told who Robin is, what happens to Robin. I just want to skip straight ahead. When you get to an arc like Water 7, right? Which is Robin's story, and you've skipped Skypiea, you are skipping the setup that brings us to Water 7 for Robin's story. Because, as I said, we don't know anything about her. She's just an assassin that has now joined the Straw Hats. And through Skypiea, there's also that connection as well, not just between Robin and the crew, but Zoro and Robin, not in a shipping sense, in a sense that Zoro didn't trust her point blank at all because he thought she was taking Luffy for a ride, right? And we see how intuitive Luffy is to people and his connections with people because Zoro realizes that too. As he's interacting with Robin, talking with Robin at the very beginning when they're the Mocktown section, trying to find the Southbird, right? He's paired up with Robin. And the reason he's paired up with Robin is because we have to see him being wary of her because he's not trusting her. Eventually, he kind of starts to warm up to her. And then as we finally get to actually Skypiea and she gets hit by an L, what does Zoro do? He jumps forward, he catches her, and he says, she's a woman, right? Still kind of weird he said that, but that aside, we are literally watching Zoro warm up to this new crew member that Luffy has agreed to. And in my opinion, this is one of the first times that we are seeing Zoro had that doubt in Luffy, and then that doubt in Luffy changes to, oh, like, I'm seeing now she's clearly not a bad person. There's nothing that she's trying to do to us. So that warming up to that Robin has through Skypiea, it's not just Zoro specific as well, it's with Nami as well, Chopper especially, overall the whole crew, because there's such a good panel in Skypiea. They're all huddled up, they're in silhouettes, and there's a panel of all the Straw Hats, and Robin's next to them, and she's on the edge and she's inching closer because from the bonfire they had, she was sitting all the way back, right? She was just watching them. Now she's slowly coming closer to the crew. So this is the development we've had of Robin through Skypiea. And it's like, how can you say that this arc has no relevancy to anything, even before Gear 5, right? Gear 5's relevant now. But before Gear 5, this is part of Robin becoming a Straw Hat. And this is why she slowly begins to lose her Missile Sunday fit, because she had, her cowboy hat throughout Skypiea. She begins to lose that because she's literally being stripped of this label that she had when she was outside of the Straw Hats. Now she's in with the Straw Hats. She's becoming comfortable with them. She's even starting to slowly lose the nicknames that she had for them, like, Miss Navigator, Mr. Cook, Mr. Swordsman, whatever she was calling all these crew members. So it's like I don't understand why when people skip it and they say there's no relevancy. It's just it's always been untrue. It's always been untrue. So it's like the hit and the climax of Water 7 is because Skypiea has warmed us up to Robin. And it's such a good Robin arc for that. And it just Straw Hats, right? Straw Hat specific. That's one of the reasons I'm like, you are making no sense.
Yeah.
When you're saying there's nothing relevant about this arc.
I guess people think like, oh, we're just fighting Eminem in the clouds, and like that's all that they think it is, because that is really cool. And then we go from Skypiea into G8, where Robin is even more like outside of like the role she was playing in previous arcs, where she's playing around, she's going undercover. Like it's really her like diving a little bit into her goofy side, which, if I'm not mistaken, is that the first time we really see Goofy Robin in the story? Is it G8, or do we see some of that in the story? Actually, no, we see it almost immediately, because immediately when she's recruited, she starts like tickling Chopper. She does and then the iconic Luffy with like antlers. Impersonating Chopper. Yeah, so she's always been goofy.
Skypiea to Long Ring Longland, it's like that's Robin observing the Straw Hats the whole time. She didn't participate in any of the games in Long Ring Longland, from my knowledge. Oh, no, was she on the raft?
I don't...
Oh, she was, wasn't she? I think she
was.
She was still more paying attention to and watching the Straw Hats at that time. The same thing she was doing in Skypiea. And then she noticed when she found the poneglyph in Skypiea that these people that she was with, this crew, had pushed her towards this dream that at that point we still weren't completely sure about. We kind of knew because of Alabasta.
And she was roller skating with him. I just remembered she was roller skating.
Yeah, well,
that in the
I'm talking on a non-anime basis. So in the manga.
That was anime. Oh my gosh, I feel so.
It was anime only.
I feel so dumb. That's probably why it felt so long. They probably added so much stuff in there.
But it's like Skypiea especially was such a Robin observing the Straw Hats arc. So it's like it's just a shame to me that you can't. When people skip it, they don't feel the Robin they don't feel her warming up to the Straw Hats as she needs to be, because she's very closed off as a person. But that's why skipping it is just such a shame to me. For many reasons, but that's one of them.
What if this same person, they also skipped Long Ring Long Land for the same reasons? Like there's nothing in it relevant to the story.
Then again, what in the world? Like, I guess my question is always, what is the story to them?
That's what I was about to say. Like, why are you reading the story if you like are deciding what? Like, how do you know? First of all, Oda could drop something tomorrow, and then it's like, oh, you better have read Long Ring Long Land, because that's incredibly important to what I just wrote.
Yeah. But it's not just like story in terms of, because the kind of beef I have with that is so many people going, haha, Skypiea is relevant now. It's relevant now. It has always been relevant to the themes and the narrative of One Piece. Same with Long Ring Long Land. And it's like the reason, like when people go, well, that could become relevant, you shouldn't be reading One Piece on the idea that this should become relevant. You should be reading One Piece on the idea that we are taking a journey together. How is this journey growing our crew, right? Long Ring Long Land grew the crew to insane amounts, because Long Ring Long Land wasn't about, like, there was still some consequences in Long Ring Long Land, right? But it grew the crew to the point of like strengthening dynamic. We could see who worked with who, where the relationships were starting to bloom. Like Zoro and Sanji, the Groggy Ball tournament, that was made for them to start trusting each other on an equal amount and to start becoming the wings. Same with Luffy taking on Foxy. We are seeing Luffy's tenacity for his crew in full force as he's taking on Foxy, because Foxy's crew has come together with an artificial idea of crewmateship, right? Luffy's crew is small, they're new, and yet Luffy's will, his heart, his love for his crew is taking on this literal fraud, right? This fraud of a captain. And that's the point. We are seeing just how powerful Luffy's love is. It's just hammering home this idea. But that's Long Ring Long Land, and again, Skypiea does the same thing. It does same thing in that regard.
I think that you could connect them both in the sense that I would say that it's always important and relevant, and you should totally watch every single arc or read every single arc, because like if for no other reason, like the characters are always growing in some way. Like they're always,
Yeah.
it's a part of their story. And especially Skypiea, I remember, I think we talked about this last time, Sanji and Skypiea. He specifically told Usopp, when we get up there, all right, I'm saving
Yeah,
Nami.
I'm not gonna protect you.
I'm not gonna protect you, okay? But as soon as Usopp's in danger, he saves them both. He tanks a lightning bolt, and I think that is really cool. But it doesn't.
Well, that was a double up though, because it was not only Sanji saying to Usopp, you know, I'm not going to save you if we're up there. I don't save men, and he saved Usopp. And not only did he save him, like Nami wasn't in the way at all. She was out of the way, and El was aiming just for Usopp. So Sanji kicked him out of the way, took that lightning. It was not only Sanji showing us that he's talking bullshit. He just doesn't know how to care about people by word because he's messed up, you know?
Yeah.
But also that he's so self-sacrificial. Like that's one of the one of the reasons so many people like the I needed a light moment to me is just because, oh, it looked cool. It's like nothing happened, right? It looks cool. But it's not just that it looks cool. We are seeing the sacrifice of these characters to such an extreme extent. Like Sanji taking on Enel's blast. He could have died from that, and he seemed very willing to die from that. And this adds to a long line of Sanji just keeps fucking sacrificing himself. Enel's blast was truly one of them. And it's like, it's not just for Luffy, for Nami, it's for everybody on the crew. And of course, that then leads up to more things. But like, it's a very good moment. But it's not just because it looks cool. It's because it adds to his character in the same way that Usopp trying to save Nami in the moment as well, going back and then running in, also adds to Usopp's character because they're both, you know, showing the, I guess the theme, not the themes, but you know who their characters are and what they've always been.
And I actually want to talk about, because Usopp's been getting so much hate lately. It's actually insane. But like in every single arc, he does something that goes that progresses his character. Like it's easy to see that in Skypiea. It was really cool seeing the way that he used the dials, the way that he was using. He created like this weird, it was like octopus shoes that he had to like scale the ship. He's always doing something like, he is comedic relief, but like there's a real character that it's always heartfelt in the things that he does. It's like, I would still say Sanji is more sacrificial for sure, but Usopp's like out there putting his ass on the line, like constantly trying to figure out ways to keep up with people. And you can see that in Skypiea. Does he start fixing the ship in Skypiea, or is it before or after Skypiea?
He tries to.
He tries to, because I remember that.
So all throughout. So from Alabasta, he's been trying to fix the ship. Skypiea is where he sees the club of Martin, I think is how you say it. And he's the only one that sees it, of course, because the Mary loves him very dearly. And Skypiea, oh god, there's also such a fantastic scene of the Mary and Usopp and Chopper, where Chopper was trying to protect the ship. Do you remember that? From that
yes.
One of Enel's warriors.
Yeah.
And Chopper, god, it's such a good scene. I just can't believe people skip
It
Skypiea.
is. It really
and,
is.
And the ship is caught on fire. Everything's a mess. Usopp comes back and Chopper's going, oh my god, Usopp, I'm so sorry. Like, I tried to do my best. And then he's really worried, you know, that Usopp's going to get mad at him. And Usopp turns to him and says, that doesn't matter. Are you okay?
Yes.
Chopper says,
I love that scene, because he's like crying and he's like, I'm sorry, I tried my best to protect the Mary, and Usopp just starts fixing it, and he's like, it's okay, like as long as you're okay. It's such a good scene.
As long as you're okay. And then Chopper like nearly starts crying, because of course this is also Chopper developing and realizing, oh, I'm important to this crew as a family member. I don't have to prove myself here for anything, which is ironic, because then of course that leads into Water 7 too, of Usopp feeling like he has to be useful. So we are seeing Usopp giving validation to Chopper of like, as long as you're okay, it's fine. And we can see that Usopp seems to feel like that, or he says that, because when we get to Water 7, he seems to be, he doesn't feel like that. He thinks he has to give validation.
That very same insecurity,
right? Exactly. He feels the same thing. And then Sanji is also the similar, but that is further down the line. But
yeah, that's actually, but like, I think that, like, not to cut you off, I'm sorry, but I want to like mention how funny and also like really, really cool and heartwarming it is that Sanji and Zoro are both like the sacrificial types, but like, I don't know if it's in a different way, but it feels different every
It's
time.
different.
It is different? Okay.
It's
It
different.
feels
Yeah.
different every single time.
The way it's different is Zoro will clearly take on any and all pain silently if it means that he can protect the people he loves. He's terrified of people dying. Sanji, on the other hand, sees himself as a sacrificial lamb. So Zoro doesn't want to die. It's very clear, especially through Wano. He seems to be terrified of the Grim Reaper. Sanji, on the other hand, he seems happy to just die if it means he's protected who he needs to protect.
Yeah.
Zoro doesn't want to die. He wants to stay alive and get stronger to protect his crew. The difference is Zoro's strength. He wants to see this opportunity to be stronger for that protection. Sanji, on the other hand, is, I mean, just kill me, you know?
Yeah.
If it means protecting who I can protect, just kill me. I don't think Sanji sees that as an area of strength. He sees that as a, I'm not worth this because my crew are worth more than I am, so I'll just die. But Zoro doesn't think that. Zoro thinks he does have, like, worth, right? Sanji has found it hard, and you can really see that in the thriller bark because that's when he, sees Zoro giving up his life. And Sanji says, what about your dream? What about becoming a master swordsman? And that always frustrated me on Sanji's behalf because it's like, I feel like Zoro was thinking in that moment, your dream is also relevant. That's why he just took him out wordlessly, right?
Yeah.
So Sanji in that moment put Zoro and his dream above himself. You don't do that if you're in a good place.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, you don't. That's what I was going to say. Why do you think that do you think he did that because he was specifically thinking about Sanji's dream and wanting to save his dream? Or was he more thinking like, this is my job to sacrifice myself for this crew? Like, you shouldn't have to do that right now.
It's a combo of Zoro's wanting to be the protector. Very clear to me that he clearly wants to be the protector, and he's just terrified of losing his loved ones. And I don't mean that isn't just Sanji. I mean overall. That moment when he's protecting Luffy, it starts with protecting Luffy, right? It turns into a moment of protecting Luffy and Sanji, and by extension, the crew. So Zoro is just terrified. He's terrified of losing the people close to him. He'll never say it, of course, especially not to Sanji, but that's the reason for that. Which is great, but oh my god, they need to go to therapy.
They definitely do. They definitely do. Why do you think then he didn't? So what do you think he feels for Vivi? Like when he was like, we shouldn't go after her. Is he not scared to lose Vivi?
Well, he trusts her. So Zoro still trusts people, right? And he knows that if Vivi needs the help, she will reach out for the help because that's what she learned in Alabasta, to ask for the help if you have people willing to help you. And Vivi, at that moment, she wasn't reaching out to them. Now she is. And I still think that's a signal for help. But he still trusts his crewmates. Like, he's not like a mama bear. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he's not going, no, you can't go and do that. The only time he does that is when he thinks it's too dangerous. Like what he did to Sanji on the Water 7 train, where Sanji was like, I'm going to go cause hell. And Luffy said, go ahead. And Zoro said, no, you're not. They're too dangerous. You can't be going there by yourself. Because Zoro just had to take on Lucci and he got fucking destroyed. Luffy and him both got destroyed the first time they took on Lucci. So he's terrified for the fact that Sanji's there.
Yeah.
He knows firsthand this is dangerous, but he still trusts his crewmates. That's something he's also had to learn. And that's, again, Skypiea, bringing it back around, that's something he learned with Robin when Luffy recruited Robin. He learned that Luffy had good intuition and that Robin is a crew member and that he must accept her because she's not out to get them the way that he thought she was originally.
Yeah, that's definitely. When do you think was the moment that he learned that for Robin? Because I know in Skypiea he protected her and he was coming around, but because there was also in Water 7 all that stuff happened where it was like she was like in the newspapers like as an assassin or something, so like it probably did a lot. Like, does he have trust issues or is he just like dumb? Okay, I was wondering because like sometimes some stuff happens and I'm like, bro, why do you think, like in Arlong Park when he was like, yeah, Nami stabbed Usopp, I was like, bro, you cannot. Everybody was like, are you stupid? Like literally everyone called him dumb.
when it comes to the Nami stabbed Usopp thing, God, I'm so mad I realized this after I made my East Blue video. But what happened there is, I think I talked about this last time, is the more I thought about it, the more I realized, oh, this makes sense. Zoro's panicking, and he's panicking because he faced Nami in Arlong Park, right? He trusted Luffy in that because again, Luffy's intuition is very good. Luffy said, "I want her to be my navigator. She's going to be my navigator." So Zoro took that chance, and he gave his life over to Nami. She saved him because she was like, I'm gonna kill you. I don't think you're worth anything. He called her bluff, and he called her bluff by jumping in the water and being saved. And he thought, okay, so Luffy was correct, right? After that is when Nami talked to Usopp, and when Zoro heard Nami stabbed and killed Usopp. There's a line that he says that was like interesting, and I can't remember what it was. It was when I was talking to Sanji about the whole situation, and Sanji said, "Do you really think Nami did that?" And God, I can't remember the line now.
I think I remember because we did talk about this. He blames himself, basically. Is that right?
Yeah, right. Like it feels like what happened to me is because Zoro called Nami's bluff, and that put Nami in a situation of the Arlong pirates are now starting to maybe be suspicious of her. She jumped ahead and stabbed and killed Usopp to
like prove
stop that suspicion.
Yeah.
And I feel Zoro felt bad in that moment because I think he thought, fuck, did I do that? Was I the reason that she had to go to those extremes to then kill Usopp because I made her look bad in front of the Arlong pirates? And then, of course, he lashed out at Nami after that when she was like, oh, yeah, I did it. I don't give a shit. And then Sanji stops her, but it's like we see though in those moments how much Zoro cares about his crew, his loved ones, right? Would he have hit Nami? I don't know. I think he was very angry in that moment. But Zoro is such a protector. He loves his crew. He loves his family. And in Skypiea, I feel like when we see Zoro warming up, I'd say it was when they were in the Mocktown area in the jungle. And Zoro was alone with Robin, and he was clearly keeping his distance. And Robin was like, he was like, I'm just going to go this way. And Robin said, you're going backwards, we'll go this way, because of course he's an idiot. And she walks off to go find the Southbird, and he stands there for a moment, and he goes, oh, hey, hang on, wait up. And then he runs after her. So we're clearly starting to see he's realizing she doesn't have an ill intent. He just maybe was a bit too, nervous, I suppose, or worried about who this woman was. And I'd say that by the time he finally does warm up to her is when he catches her because Enel has shot at her. And that was part of Zoro's protection. That's the first time we then see Zoro actually protect Robin in the same way he's protected other members of the crew. So I'd say at that point, 100%, he's gone, okay, she's a crew member. Otherwise, he'd have no reason to jump forward and want to save her. Yeah.
Do you think that Skypiea is more like a balance of, well, like it's more like goofy laughs than like important stuff? Or do you think it's like, I think it's inarguable that it's both. My favorite part of Skypiea is either the boat ride with Sanji, Usopp, and Luffy. That whole ride to Upper Yard is so funny, and I love it. Or Luffy being an idiot inside the giant snake. Remember when he found that crown and he was king of the cave?
Yes,
dude,
I knew you were going to say that. I love that scene. So many people hated that, by the way.
Why? What? This is not in my notes. Why do people hate that part? That's so funny.
Because they hated Luffy stuck inside the snake, and they hate that because they thought that made it drag. But it's very obvious the reason Luffy's stuck inside the snake is because Luffy has one goal in Skypiea. It's to get to that damn bell.
Yeah.
If he's not in that snake,
he's getting there for me. Yeah, he's gone. He doesn't care. It needed to happen, and I love that so much because he's so dumb. He found a crown and just he was like, fuck it, I'm doing cave stuff now. Like it was so funny. I love him so much. That might be like it might even be my favorite part in all of Skypiea because like while these serious things are happening, everybody's fighting their hearts out. We'll cut to like Luffy inside the eyeball of a dead snake. He like lifts it up and they have like Looney Tunes music playing, and I'm like, Oda's just having fun, dude, and I love it. I love it so much. But also obviously, it's not just those moments, because we get the flashback with Nolan and the Shandians, and like we get the mysterious. I remember when Robin read the poneglyph, and it was didn't she flat out say Joy Boy? Isn't that true? Or was that, or am I thinking of Fishman Island?
No, Joy Boy was first brought up in Fishman Island.
That's what I'm thinking of. But still, when she finds the poneglyphs and she went on her own like treasure hunting extravaganza, like it's undeniable that there is important stuff like woven in that I guess not never, but like doesn't come up for a while, but like you can tell it from the jump that it's all important too.
Yep. The poneglyph in Skypiea is when Gold Roger's name is carved into the poneglyph. So that was a big moment.
Yeah.
Because we are now seeing that Roger himself had been to this area and had also apparently interacted with the poneglyph. So now we're thinking, how important are these fucking things?
Right.
If Gold Roger engraved his name and said, essentially, Roger was here, right? To let people know that. But the snake thing, in my opinion, was brilliant because it wasn't just keeping Luffy at bay. It was also the fact that the snake was so important. It was so important. And when we first meet the snake, it's just scary. And it's like, big monster snake. Oh my God, run. Oda then throws Luffy inside the snake. And it's like constantly telling us, keep an eye on the snake. The snake, the snake, the snake, the snake. You need to know about the snake. It's so important. Luffy's even inside the fucking thing, right? Like, it's got gold in it. It's wiggling its way over to where Enella's and the Beanstalk is. So it's also transporting Luffy to where he needs to be, thankfully. But this, like, Skypiea does the thing, because Skypiea is what made me realize just how special One Piece is to such an extreme extent. Because Skypiea does the thing that a lot of One Piece does that I really like, where yes, it's silly, but the serious undertone is so prominent. And the reason you can see there's a lot of silliness added onto Skypiea is because of how serious the topic is. And Oda doesn't want to be a downer. He doesn't want to be a bummer. So he's adding these funny haha scenes on top of it. But then when we actually get into the layers and the story, it's so crushing.
Yeah.
And it's so sad because I really love Wiper. The main Shandia tribe leader at the time. I love him. His story is one of the most upsetting and tragic stories One Piece has, in my opinion. Because of the subject matter, right? Colonization.
Yeah.
And how it's been 400 years and he's still trying to fight to get his land back. And we have no idea yet at that point until we finally, get to the final act of Skypiea. Like, it's so unbelievably heavy.
Yeah.
And it's like, I can see why Oda's added humor and comedy on top of it. Because not only is it Wiper and the Shandia tribe, it's also the people of Skypiea are under a dictatorship, a tyrant that has taken over their land as well. And they can't do anything either. And it's like, obviously, Oda doesn't want to be sad. He wants us to have fun on the ride as well. So he's going to add all these stupid jokes. He's going to add the bull trial. He's going to add that stupid bull guy that had the bull dragon, all that kind of shit, because he still wants us to have fun. But he also does want us to understand the severity of the situation, which he does very well as it builds and builds and builds and builds and builds and builds until it hits that climax with Calgara and Nolan's backstory. And oh God, it's going to make me emotional because it always makes me cry. That backstory always makes me cry.
It is.
But I did want to say that I think one of the reasons people really don't like Skypiea or think Skypiea bad, skippable, blah, 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 is because Skypiea is the first arc where the Straw Hat Pirates are not directly involved with the happenings of Skypiea. Like, if you go to Alabasta, right? Vivi's a Straw Hat. I'm sorry, she is. They were directly involved with Vivi. When you get to Skypiea, they are not directly involved with Wiper. They are not directly involved with NL. They meet
Connis.
Oh shit, what's her name? Connis. Yeah, they meet her, but they're not directly involved with her. We just met this woman. Right. The person they are involved with is beneath Skypiea, right? Yeah. Cricket. That's who they met. That's who they became friends with. So this is the first time that we've gotten an arc where the Straw Hats have kind of just been thrown into this. There's no real personal connection here. And of course that evolves into future arcs such as Dressrosa, I would argue. Uh,
Yes.
or like a Punk Hazard as well. There's no real personal connection to what's going on. They've just been put into the situation. Fishman Island as well, I'd say. Um, and Skypiea was Oda's first jump at that to try and expand his world while not making it just about Luffy and the Straw Hats. And that's tough, right? That's
Mm,
hard. And I do think there were some parts where he could have improved at because he was still like, new-ish
mm.
in terms of writing Skypiea. But a lot of people I think got that whiplash of like, what? This isn't about Luffy anymore. This isn't about the Straw Hats anymore. Why should I care
They felt
about
betrayed.
this? But
Yeah.
exactly. But it's like, but of course the point is that's what One Piece is. One Piece is a huge world. One Piece isn't just about Luffy. We're just following Luffy. But we are
Yeah.
going to expand the world to be bigger and bigger and bigger. And Skypiea was the first step to do that. And I think he did it wonderfully. He stumbled a bit sometimes, but no one's perfect. So Skypiea was a brilliant introduction to expanding the world of
That's
One
a
Piece for
great
sure.
point. I don't think I even like realized that, but you are absolutely right. That was the first time we got introduced to like something that isn't just like, oh, this is a Straw Hat adventure and we're just having fun. It kind of, you can still kind of read it that way because they were just kind of like Luffy had a mission to find all that gold and to ring the bell, but like it was, I guess, arguably disconnected from things like the conflict until we realized they were right next to each other. But like, so you could maybe interpret it as like, oh, we're still just kind of goofing around, but like largely all of the information that we were absorbing is like about like, the lore of like the all the Sky Islands and then Jaya, and then
Yeah.
like learning about the upstream and stuff like that, things that would become super interesting later on when you learn that Roger actually took the same route that these idiots are taking. And it's really cool. I think the other thing you also said that One Piece is really good at like taking like really mature or like just sad themes, and then like Oda just wants us to have a good time. The arc that I immediately thought of when you said that was Dressrosa, because oh my god, like
I thought you were going to say Whole Cake Island.
Whole Cake Island is, oh my god, you're right.
Because
Oh my god, you're right.
that's my example.
Oh
He
my
he
god, you're
gives
right.
us such a disgusting story
It's
regarding
so
familial
fun.
abuse,
It's so
and he
fun though.
lays it with this fairy tale, right?
Yeah, it's so fun though. It's so fun. I think of Dressrosa because like in my, well, no, I don't even know if this is even an opinion. Like we have like, it's like you can tell Oda clearly is like, we're still having fun, but also at the same time, like it's more serious than Whole Cake Island. So that's, I immediately thought of Dressrosa because Luffy's even more serious. Like he hates Doflamingo. I don't know if he hates like anybody more than Doflamingo. He hates
I
him.
really don't think he does.
I don't think
I
so.
really
He
don't think he does.
hates that guy. And it's like I completely understand why, but it's like yeah, just the themes of like being turned into toys and like everything that all the people went through, like Viola and Rebecca, and like, oh god, Kiros crying in the rain is a toy. Good god, like it's like he still wanted
Terrible.
us to have fun, but it was like I kept like thinking of all those things. Like Dressrosa was the One Piece arc that actually like it broke me. It made me quit my job and like I need to get caught up with this story. Like I literally quit. Like
What your job?
I
Oh
did.
my god.
I did. Have you not? Have I not told you this story? Are you serious, dude? Okay, so I worked night shift, and I think I was at the part of Dressrosa where they were just running around. Like Luffy was riding on the bull with Law, and they were just about to, right before the big confrontation with Doflamingo. I think the bounties were released and everything like that. And I walked into work one day and I just couldn't stop thinking about how the horrible things that Doflamingo was doing in Dressrosa, and then and how I had to clock in and do work. And so I just remember thinking, I just snapped. I was like, you know what? Luffy wouldn't take this. Luffy wouldn't care. And I just sent my letter of resignation, and then I got caught up with One Piece in like another 2 months.
Well, that's it. Absolutely incredible. I'm glad Luffy inspired you to quit your job. Dreams really do come true.
Yeah, no, it's my crash out story. Do you have a story like that where like you thought about Luffy or One Piece and you just crashed out for like no reason?
Well, I didn't crash out. If anything, it started like because my full-time job is now YouTube and One Piece. That's my full-time job now. I watched One Piece through the job I had previously, because I was working from home because COVID. I came back from a little family holiday that I had. Job became fucking terrible, just terrible because of stuff that was going on. Quit my job and I was like, I'll find another job. But through searching for another job, I was like, well, I might as well make like content while I'm searching for another job. Wasn't expecting it to become a job. And that's when I made the Doffy video. And that's when everything else happened because the Doffy video just absolutely took off because Doflamingo was so interesting to me and I couldn't find anyone talking about him the way I wanted him to be talked about. So I was like, oh my god, fuck it, I'll make it myself. And then I got people saying, oh my god, can you talk about this character? Can you talk about this character? And then, you know, the rest is history. So One Piece didn't exactly make me like drop anything. It just made me start up the career that I have now, which is insane. But Viva la One Piece is what I say to that. It truly does make your dreams come true.
That's literally, well, in a way, then we could definitely say Dressrosa is what made us both just like go all in to One Piece. That's actually crazy. Oh my god.
Oh, it's something I did want to say, by the way, since we're talking about, sorry, I got my bottle with me, since we're talking about Skypiea. There are people that would say Mocktown and Skypiea are separate things. Don't listen to them. They're idiots. They are not separate things. Mocktown is Skypiea. Skypiea is Mocktown. It literally leads into Skypiea. It's the Act 1 of Skypiea.
Obviously.
Don't listen to them. They're stupid. Because every time I say, oh yeah, in Skypiea, Luffy and Zoro and Nami, they were in the bar because they didn't fight Bellamy. Do you know how many comments I've gotten that's like, oh, that was a Skypiea, that was Mocktown? That's literally part of the themes and the narratives of Skypiea. It's the introduction to Skypiea. This is why I hate when people separate these arcs into mini arcs. And it's like, you have to accept Mocktown is Skypiea. I don't know why this is so hard to accept, because that's also when we meet Blackbeard. That's when we meet Cricket. That's when the Straw Hats shoot up on the upstream, whatever it is, the knock upstream. And when Blackbeard tries to follow them as well to go up the knock upstream, doesn't work. I think people just don't want to accept that such important details were included here so they can say Skypiea wasn't relevant. And it's like,
well, yeah,
it was.
It's 100%. And I actually, there's another thing that I don't know if you know that people do this, but did you know, Mel, that not most, God, I hope it's never most, but there's a large percentage of the fandom that they don't read the manga, they don't watch the anime, they literally just go to Reddit and then read the spoilers for each chapter. Like, that is how they engage with the story. And then they have the audacity to go online and have opinions about the story. It's a real, that pain is me realizing that that's a real thing that happens, and that's a real people that choose to, and their answer is always, every person that I've met like this, because it still baffles me that these are real people, their answer is always, I mean, you know, it's such a long story. It's just like, you know, I'm sure I'll get caught up eventually, but, you know, so you just get on Reddit and you read the spoilers for not even the chapter, the spoilers for the chapter. And then you get online and you go, oh, it's so cool. Like, people were doing that. Like, I have a friend, and it bothers me to this day. I almost disowned him. But, like, that's how he learned about Gear 5. I swear to God, I almost disowned him right there. And he was telling me about, like, yeah, Egghead looks pretty sweet. And I was like, how the fuck do you know what's happening at Egghead? Like, yeah, last time you talked to me, you were in Alabasta. You've just been on Reddit the whole time.
Yeah, that's not enjoying a story. That's simply consuming content. Do you know what I mean?
If even
that's
that,
just
yeah.
consume.
Like, I don't, and it's like people like that did the audacity to then have an opinion. If that's how you want to read it, I guess, you know, your doom, I guess. I don't know why you would do it, but if that's how you want to do it, I don't want to have an opinion on it, but I lose my mind if, like, then you have opinions on the story going forward. Because to be honest, I think there's a lot of people that, like, make YouTube, like, theories or, like, stuff like that are engaging the story that way, because sometimes they'll miss, like, really endearing things that, like, you would have in your mind if you read or watched the story, but
you
because
miss,
you
miss
like
the small things.
Yeah,
you miss the connection between members.
Yeah, exactly. Instead, it's just bullet points. Like, this is exactly what happened. You can't tell me that it is. It's like, you know, that happened, but it's like, did you see what happened in between that when we had, like, this character looking off in the distance and, like, you could clearly tell what they're thinking? And it's like, no, I don't think they saw that.
That's just so sad.
It is
That
sad.
is so sad. I'm sorry.
It is
I
sad.
don't mean to be mean, but people who do that, I just don't think they have a creative bone in their body. to understand.
Or the patience to like consume art as it was meant to be consumed. Like I don't know, man. I can't like I don't want to be mean either, but at the same time it's like if you're not reading the story or watching the show, it's just like
Why bother?
Why bother? That's what I'm saying. Why bother? I don't understand. So wait, do you have a favorite part of Skypiea?
Calgara and Nolan's story, 100%. Like aside from Luffy ringing the bell, the bell was just God, it always makes me cry when I think about it because everything about it was just this is One Piece. Like it was so special. And that's all I can say. It was just so special. But oh, okay, like this is like the meat and potatoes, right? Of Skypiea. Calgara and Nolan's story. So many people are like, why is this relevant? Why does this care? Why do we care? Why are we seeing this?
I mean,
backstories, you know, One Piece is about backstories aside. There's a fantastic like it's a build up, right? We are seeing the fight between Skypiea and the Shandia tribe, and we are seeing that the Shandia land is illegal to go on. You're not allowed to go on it. It's sacred land. And then, of course, who labeled it the sacred land? It was not the Shandia tribe. That's just their home. Their home has been taken from them by the Skypiea people and labeled a sacred land, and now no one gets to live on it except for the gods, right? So that's just essentially colonization 101.
Right.
And I always thought it was so interesting that Oda made this story because obviously he's a Japanese man, right? And there have been forms of colonization from Japan as a country as well, whether it's admitted to or not. While like some of it, it's like, you know, you can argue if these were the correct answers or what, there was always such a moment that stood out to me, which was when the old god is talking to Sanji and Usopp and Nami, and he's literally explaining the history of the sacred land, and he's like, yeah, they popped up, we stole that, or like we took that from them because we thought that was a gift from the gods, we fought them, we kicked them off, killed so many of them. And Sanji and Usopp straight up said to him, so you're the bad guys, you're the ones that ruined their lives. I remember being gobsmacked, like there was no line, there was no but, it was, so you're the evil ones for doing that.
Right.
And I was like, I cannot believe that I'm watching or reading this media, this Japanese media that just straight up says,
it wasn't ambiguous,
you colonizer.
Yeah.
Exactly, right? And then we move on to the further story of Enel taking over Skypiea, and we have Wiper and the Skypiea people trying to bargain regarding the land. I can't exactly remember how the conversation went. I just remember Wiper got very upset because, of course, he was like, why the fuck do I have to bargain for my home? Why are you giving me a deal when that's my home? You've walked into my home and taken it. And then after that, the old god is sitting there and he says, are we the bad guys? Are we the ones in the wrong? And it's like, I could not believe that this is the way Oda was tackling this, because not even like Western American series will do that sometimes.
They don't have the balls.
Not even they will go, you are the bad guys, right? And I was like, this is just insane. It was just crazy.
You know, like how Luffy can't, like, or not he can't, but like whenever somebody tries to tell him like their backstory, he just like goes to sleep, or it's like it almost seems like he doesn't care. I'm kicking myself in the ass for not thinking about this sooner, but I'm thinking of every time someone has like told him their backstory, he's dedicated like a significant amount of time to side quests, just getting vengeance. Like he did it for the Bell in Skypiea. I think, to my knowledge, the only Straw Hat that he has even an inkling of what they went through as a kid is Nami. He destroyed Arlong Park. And I'm thinking about just like every other situation where if he knew what they went through, I think he would like almost completely become a revolutionary. Like he'd still want to become the Pirate King, but he would like dedicate whole swaths of his time to just get vengeance and beat people up. Because I kept thinking about that in Whole Cake Island.
I was gonna say, Judge is so fucking lucky.
Yeah,
that Sanji
yes,
didn't say to Luffy.
That's what yes.
Luffy, Luffy. Hey, Luffy, this guy locked me in a prison cell for 6 months and put an iron mask on my head. Luffy.
Oh, it's on site.
I think Luffy would have killed that
I
man.
do.
Immediately
That's
killed that man.
I literally. That's why I tweeted that. That was that was one of the last tweets that I did, and I'm kicking myself in the ass for not thinking about that until now. But 100%, if Sanji had gone into even the smallest detail of what Judge did to him, it wouldn't have been like, because the only interaction Luffy has with Judge is like, all right, well, bye, have a nice time. Why was he saying all those beautiful things about you at the end of the arc? I think if Luffy knew even a fraction of that, he would have been like, all right, we can leave. I gotta punch him at least once. Like, I have to. Like,
But
I literally have
he would
to.
have activated Gear Death the way
Yeah,
everyone wanted him to
yeah,
activate.
like, yeah, it would be cut. Yeah, he truly would. Like, I think, and I really think that's like the dragon in him, to be honest. Like, I wonder if Dragon, when we get more information about Dragon, he's gonna be like, he's just all that. Like, he's just a vengeful asshole.
So excited about Dragon.
Me
Oh,
too.
sorry, I don't actually get into the Calcara Nolan story, but
Yeah.
I just talked about the colonization aspect. Um, there's so much to talk about with Skypiea. There's so much to talk about with Skypiea, but the Calgara Nolan thing, as I was talking about, the reason Skypiea is one of the things that made me realize One Piece is so special is because of Calgara and Nolan's story, right? So Calgara Nolan's story was basically like, no matter how far away we are, no matter how much time passes, you are still connected to me, you are still special to me because we have made this connection. And the reason Skypiea is so fantastic with that is because the first time we really get that kind of story is between Usopp and his father, Yasop. And I know so many people have beef with Yasop. I know.
Right.
I always say, okay, you can have your own beef with him, but what's important is how Usopp feels. Usopp loves his dad. He's proud of his dad. He wants to be he wants to be connected to his dad. He wants his dad to be proud of him, right? And the sea connects them. Usopp's first panel is of him looking out at the sea. That's how we're introduced to him because that's where his dad is. And we also know that Usopp's dad, Yasop, was always talking about Usopp as well. So we're seeing no matter how far apart these characters are, they're always thinking about each other, they're always connected to each other. Same thing happens with Laboon when we run into Laboon and Whiskey Peak. Laboon still has this connection to his crew, to Brook, to everyone that abandoned him. No, they did not abandon him. We know that now, of course, and Luffy wanted to prove that to him. Then we go to Vivi. Vivi had to be separated from the crew, and of course she said, if I run into you again, will you call me your Nakama? And they held up their hands. The sea is connecting them, no matter how far apart, no matter how much time has passes. Calgara and Nolan's story was the ultimate story to depict that because not only had they been disconnected by literally being thrown into the sky, right? They weren't even on the sea anymore. It had been 400 years that they were fighting to see each other again. And it's just such a beautiful story, and it always I just get so emotional when I think about it because it's like I will never forget the scene where Wiper hears that there's someone living beneath Shandia, living beneath Skypiea, trying to find Shandia, trying to find the bell. Wiper immediately recognizes that and says, "Oh my god, that's Nolan's ancestor. He's down there fighting to find us again." In the exact same way, Wiper has been fighting ancestors and ancestors ago, right? To ring that bell. Because Wiper hit a point of what is this all for anymore? Is this my home? I haven't even lived on this land before. What's the bell for? Who is this for? He just couldn't, he was reaching a point where he was losing himself. And then he heard Nolan's ancestor is down there doing the exact same thing. Him and his ancestors have been fighting for years to find Shandia so they can connect again. And Wiper breaks down crying because he realizes this isn't for nothing. They are still connected. There is still something to fight for. And that's the point of the bell. And the chapter of the bell ringing, it's quite literally called Love Song. That's the title of that chapter, Love Song, because that's what it is. The bell is the sound of love, remembering I'm here.
You're not alone.
We're here.
Yeah, you're not fighting
You're not alone.
Yeah.
It's been 400 years, and Calgara and Nolan still have this connection through their ancestors, through the will of their ancestors. And isn't that like One Piece?
Yes.
That's what One Piece is about, no matter how far apart, no matter how many years. you still love each other. You are still connected to each other. So that bell ringing always makes me cry because it made Wiper cry, it made Cricket cry, it made the majority of the Shandia people cry because that's what they were fighting for that connection to stay alive between Shandia, between Calgara and between Nolan, and by default between the entire Shandia tribe as well, to remind them, the world, we are still here, right?
Hmm.
It's just such a beautiful story, and it's just everything that One Piece is, in my opinion. Skypiea is everything that encapsulates One Piece better than Alabasta did, and it's why Skypiea is where I was like, this is nothing like anything I've watched before, with how incredible the story is and how just in love like Oda is, this writer is, with his own story of romanticism, of
Right.
fantasy, of just connection of people. It's so important to One Piece.
Right.
And Luffy ringing that bell and yelling, "Can you hear?" Like, what did he call him? He called him like, uh,
Uh,
he called him something weird. He was
something.
like, he said, "Cricket, can you hear? Can you hear the
Yeah.
bell? It's been here all along." And then of course you get Luffy's shadow in the sky to symbolize that as well. And it's
Yeah.
just, it's magical, right? It's just so magical. So when people skip this and they don't understand Calgara and Nolan's story, it just upsets me because it's like Calgara and Nolan's story is
It should be remembered.
everything
Yeah.
One Piece
And
is.
I
It
think,
should be
and
remembered.
more everyone should know about it. I think that that's like, I don't even think that that's something that I um thought about when I was watching it, because I was just kind of like enraptured in everything that was going on, and what a deep story that it was. But truly, it is something that, like, it contains a really amazing story that isn't doesn't involve the Straw Hats. Like, it almost, like, you could, if you weren't paying attention and you weren't like interested, you could say this doesn't have anything to do with the core characters, so it's not, maybe it's something I can come back to. So like maybe that's like why people think that. But if you care about the characters, if you care about why Luffy would be invested, if you care about just like the world, like the world like at large, like beyond the Straw Hats, it's a really good entry point to be like, okay, this is actually crazy. Like, things are gonna get like really like crazy. I don't know if that's when I definitely was in love. I love Skypiea, but I'm pretty sure the arc that made me like realize, okay, this is bigger than just like any show that I've ever seen. That was Arlong Park. When I learned like all the separate arcs in East Blue, like built up to
Mm.
Arlong Park, I don't know if I'd seen a story do that up until One Piece. And I don't know if that's just I wasn't watching good enough shows, but like it truly blew me away. At least not anime. Like I have
Mm.
not seen something like build that perfectly to a climax. And then from there, it just kept going. And I think by the time I
Mm.
got to Skypiea, it was just like, I imagine this would be the norm, like going forward. Like, I thought we were gonna get lore from like everybody else, and then in a way we actually did, because we went from that into, I guess we had Long Ring Long Land. I guess I was gonna say we had Water 7, which drastically like takes us to like new perspectives in the world government and stuff like that. Um, but Long Ring Long Land, I guess. Do you think so? Okay, hang on. Actually, Long Ring, Long Land, or Skypiea? Would you forgive one person for Sky? I mean, okay, obviously the answer is no. I don't think I would
No.
forgive. Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, no.
Me neither. Yeah. It's just, Long Ring, Long Land isn't as deep as Skypiea, and it's not as heartwarming. It's just more fun. But I'm pretty sure that's what the purpose of
The
Long Ring,
point.
Long Land is.
The point, we've just gotten out of a very heavy arc with Skypiea.
Yeah,
We are about to get to another
super
very
heavy,
heavy arc.
super heavy.
So Oda's allowed to have his fun.
Yeah,
Like, god damn,
yeah.
let the man have his fun. And again, it wasn't just fun as well, as I explained to you. It was also about crew dynamics and crew relationships. Without Long Ring Longland, we wouldn't have the wings of the Pirate King.
Yeah.
Because after Long Ring Longland, we see that Zoro and Sanji have that connection that's heavier than it used to be. Because Water 7 is when Zoro and Sanji are really on the same page to a very, like, big degree, in my
Mm-hmm.
opinion, because I'll never forget. We talked about this. I'll never forget the scene where Zoro is like, "Nope, Usopp has to apologize.
Mm-hmm.
If Usopp doesn't, I'm leaving the crew." And all the crew are going, "Oh my God, Zoro, you're so mean." And
But
Sanji's the
Sanji
only
backs
one
him
in
up.
that room that says,
Yeah.
"No, he's right.
Yeah.
Usopp has to come and apologize. We are a crew. He is our captain." And it's like, this kind of respect wouldn't be there if it weren't for things like Long Ring Longland building up that respect they have for each other. Because it's so important in Long Ring Longland that Zoro reaches out and says to Sanji, lend me a hand for 10 seconds. And Sanji says, okay. And it's the first time we've ever seen Zoro like ask anyone for help, especially during a fight. And I know it wasn't like a fight, but it was still a battle, right?
Yeah.
Zoro's reaching out for that help, and Sanji wants to be useful. So they're complementing each other already in that regard. It's already a line of respect that is now being firmly established. This is now more than a rivalry. This is now a relationship in regards to equals here. And I know people hate when you call them equals. I know people hate that, but they're equals. They are the wings.
Yeah.
They have to be equal.
Yeah.
But it's just, yeah. So Long Ring Longland was there to be not only for relationship dynamic, but also to be fun. We needed some fun. We had to have some fun before we hit Water 7 because Skypiea was heavy. And it made me cry. And I would like an arc that won't make me cry for once. And that was Water 7.
I was about to say, that's immediately what happened in Water 7 and Eni's lobby. And, I think, like, the most interesting thing about Long Ring Longland to me is Robin. Like, because Robin's just kind of, like, there watching them. She gets taken.
Yeah, she's having fun.
She's having fun. She's, like, taken, like, not hostage, but she's taken into the Foxy Pirates. And then everybody's...
That's in the anime.
Oh, is it again? Oh my God. Well, I clearly don't even know. I watched something else. I don't know. Maybe oh gosh. What is it? So hang on. What's in the manga then? What happens that's different in the anime? Is it like...
Manga? Raft game. Raft game is only Robin, Usopp, Nami on the raft, I'm pretty sure. I'm trying to remember if Robin, because Robin was there in the anime on the raft. I'm pretty sure she was also there in the manga. The manga was also the Broggy Ball with Zoro and Sanji when Chopper got taken. So Chopper did get taken. And the Foxy and Luffy fight. That's it. That's all it was in the manga. There was nothing else.
Wow.
So they added 3 more games in the anime.
You know, that's probably why people said that it drug. To be honest, I was still having fun through it because they played dodgeball.
I was too, yeah.
Yeah, Luffy ate a dodgeball. I was like, this is just fun. Yeah. This is just fun. And then, wait a minute, is the long kiwi, is that anime only too?
That's anime only, I'm
That's such a good joke. Oh, no. Oh, my God. Okay. God. All right. Well, clearly, I guess... I mean, the manga is the truest experience, but God, the anime really... I loved just watching Long Ring Longland.
It was fun. I agree. It was fun. It was good fun. I didn't even know it was filler when I watched it for the first time because it felt really smooth. And then people were telling me that doesn't even happen. And I was like, what do you mean? They don't play dodgeball?
That's what my mind is blown. They don't. So wait, the roller derby thing, like that isn't in the manga either? This is crazy.
I wish it were.
This is so crazy.
I wish it were.
Are you joking? They race a cheetah for no reason. Like, that's so funny.
For no reason.
Oh my God. Okay. Well, I still had a good time. I'll say that. But do you think...
I agree with you. It was fun.
It was really fun. Do you think then that, like, what do you think about Foxy as, like, an antagonist? A lot of people think he's, like, the worst antagonist, which I think is insane, to be completely honest. But, like, because for what Long Ring Longland is, like, you need a Foxy. You just do. You need a Foxy.
Right. And the point is he's meant to be a fraud. He's meant to be a bum.
Yeah.
He literally got his crew by conniving, by trickery, by just being really good at games.
Yeah.
He wasn't meant to be like. Can you imagine Long Ring Longland and you make like Doffy the Foxy?
No, I can't.
Can you fucking imagine?
No.
Like, of course, Foxy had to be like that.
God, that's what I'm saying. But that's a common thing that people say. They say Foxy's like their like least favorite character, and I just like when Caesar the Clown exists. When Absalom exists? Are you joking? I'll take Foxy any day of the week. I hate those two.
Foxy's he's goofy.
Yeah,
and he's fun.
He's fun. Like... Split head. He's got a weird looking face. I'll take, you know what I'm saying? I wish we could have brought Foxy onto the crew, to be completely honest. Like, that would have been funny as hell. Do you play games at all?
I play Pokemon. Zelda.
Why do you sound so
Stardew.
Those are good games. I mean,
because I know it's because like I Twitch stream, right? And there are so many people that are like, have you played this game? Have you played this game? And I always have to be like, I don't play games. I play what I played when I was a baby. I don't go outside of that because I'm scared. And I'm not like a gamer, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's so much effort. And I always say like it's so interactive, right? And it's like I want to relax when I'm not doing things. I don't want to think about an action. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I completely
I like
understand.
games, but there's so much work.
That is true. That is true. I was gonna. Did you ever do like any JRPGs, or is that too much? That's a lot of work. So I understand if you've never done a JRPG.
I did One Piece Odyssey. Does that count?
No. No, it doesn't. I mean, it does.
No.
It does count. It does count. It is technically a J, but it's not. Yeah, I guess.
It was so. Look, it was so funny. Someone was like, "One Piece Odyssey is all right, but it's like JRPG for babies," and I was like, "Yippee! I'm that baby." I had a good time.
Yeah, I did too. I thought I never finished it because I didn't take it not that I didn't take it seriously. I didn't take the combat seriously. So like I wasn't grinding or doing anything. I was just kind of like pushing through it. Then I got to the very end fight, which by the way, isn't the final boss, he's got like a 2 billion berry bounty. That's actually insane. Like I forgot.
I was thinking that was crazy too.
That's insane.
Like, I always forgot his name. I remember saying that because I streamed it, right? And I was like, 2 billion berries. That's fucking
That's
crazy.
insane. That's actually crazy. I made it to that fight and I was so underleveled. They just whooped my ass for like, it was too late for me at that point. Like I saved up until that point. So unfortunately I never beat it, but I had a great time. My favorite part was Luffy meeting Kaku and he was like, "You're a giraffe?" And he just starts fucking laughing. Oh my God.
Hang on. Are you telling me you couldn't beat JRPG for babies? Is that what you just told me?
No, I am. That's exactly what happened. I didn't take it seriously. It's 100% my fault.
Yeah, that's what they all say. I just didn't try. I swear I just didn't try. It's not that I'm not good.
No, it's not. It's not. Okay, I'm a real gamer. Is it? No, I asked because like I'm so you've never done like Kingdom Hearts is a really good one. That's what I was gonna like.
Okay. I cannot fucking believe you brought that up. I've played all of Kingdom Hearts.
Really?
I've played all of Kingdom Hearts because my friend had a PS4 and she got the whole Kingdom Hearts like playthrough thing. I played it as an adult. And I'm sorry, it's gonna break your heart. I said, this is stupid.
No, it's done. It's done. No, listen. The reason I'm doing like that's the next video that I'm making for my channel is about Kingdom Hearts. I played through all the first one on Twitch, and like I'm making this long video. But like obviously I played it as a kid. But wait a minute. Hang on a second. You played every single Kingdom Hearts knowing it was dumb? Like why did you do that?
I didn't. Let me explain. Because people were telling me, I swear to God, this game is great. It's fantastic. This and that. It's so deep. It's not that convoluted. I swear you just have to have like a big IQ to understand it. And I was like, okay, whatever, I'll play it. The more I played this game, the more I was like, this is nostalgia bait. Like
100%. That's all it is.
100%.
That's all it is.
Anyone who tells me that Kingdom Hearts is like really, really good, it's always that they've played it as a kid. I've never met anyone who played Kingdom Hearts as an adult and went, yeah, it was fantastic. It wasn't bad. I was just like, this is not as deep as people are making it.
It's not deep at all. It's not like, there's some parts that it's like, when you talk about the characters, sure. But especially Kingdom Hearts 1, just a clunky mess, to be honest. Kingdom Hearts 2 is one of the best games ever made as far as like gameplay and stuff. But like the story, I would never say that like, I would never put that on like the same shoulders as like Persona 5. That's a really good one. And Final Fantasy 7 is another really good one. I would never.
I played Final Fantasy 7.
Okay, cool. So so you are a real gamer. Wait a minute. Those are all you played all of Kingdom Hearts, which is crazy.
Me. I didn't play the original Final Fantasy 7. Played the remake. And the reason I played the remake is because I liked Cloud. It had nothing to do with the gameplay.
That's okay.
I don't know anything about the gameplay.
That's okay. That's fine. That's fine. See, because that's why anybody plays Final Fantasy, because you like a character. I like Tifa and Cloud and Zack,
yeah, of course.
But yeah, I couldn't play the original either because it's just like pixels now. I couldn't figure out where to go. Like I tried my best, and the story is actually really good. Like like every JRPG, it's so convoluted and it's like there's just no need for it to be. Like that's not something unique to Kingdom Hearts. Like you always end up fighting God and it's hilarious. But yeah, Kingdom Hearts is just no, that's you are not like if I didn't play that as a kid, there's no way I'd be able to stomach getting through. You played through all of it or just 1, 2, and 3?
All of it.
Oh my God, you
every
did
single
wait,
thing.
you did Chain of Memories too? Mel. No.
I didn't play like the DS stuff and all that kind of shit, but they had like the little movies on like the box set that you could get.
Okay.
I watched all of it.
Oh my God.
I played all of it because I was told like the story, and I was like, this is so dumb. This is so dumb.
Well, you didn't trust your gut. You watched. Wait a minute.
I wanted to believe. This is before, by the way, I was into One Piece as well.
Oh my God.
So when I say I've tried things before One Piece, I'm serious. I've tried things before One Piece, and I've quickly learnt my lesson. One Piece is what has made me learn. If I don't like something by like this point, why am I still here? Because One Piece is fucking how long? How long? I liked One Piece by the time we got to episode like 5, right? 5 to 10. 10 to 15, 15 to 20. By the time we got to episode 20, I was in love. And I was like, yeah, I love this. I've learned that's my lesson now. If I don't like something by the time I've consumed like this much of it, why am I still here?
Mel, that is a comically large amount of Kingdom Hearts content that you got through only to arrive at the conclusion that you had probably when you started the game.
Dumb.
Yeah, like that is...
I need you to know, by the way, because I'm not a gamer, I don't know how to game. I didn't know you could switch out the Keyblade. I didn't know that was a thing. I thought you just always had the Keyblade. So I got to the very last fight, and I was like, wow, this is really hard. Why is this so hard to get through? And then I told my friend, and I sent her like a screenshot, and she said, girl, that is the original Keyblade. What the fuck are you doing? And I said...
You went through the entire... You must have had a horrible time. Oh my God.
I was like, wow, this game is really tough. How did babies get through this?
Oh my God.
By the final fight, I finally changed out Keyblades because I was told. And I was like, this is easy now. This isn't so bad.
Yeah. It's just so crazy that you put in the hours to like get to like where that is in the game, like the very final fight. And you were the whole time you were like, okay, there's that you're in a party with Donald Duck and Goofy the dog the whole time looking for Mickey Mouse. And you kept what did you think the story was gonna do? Yeah, the tortoise. And you were waiting.
I was told the story was good.
You were waiting for some groundbreaking storytelling to happen. That is just so tragic. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And instead all I got was Mickey. It's Riku. They put bugs in him.
Yeah.
What?
It is.
Remember that scene? Because I was like, why the fuck am I playing?
Yeah, it's great for queer baiting though. Like it's a great example of like how the story would be better if 2 male characters would just kiss. It's like a really good story for that.
I despise Kairi. I fucking despise Kairi. I was like, this is a story I cannot stand because she's just fodder.
Yeah, that's
literally
that's what I was gonna like. Her story is kind of like not a story, or like it's there for Sora, which kind of does piss me off. Kind of like I don't really think that she has.
She wasn't her own character.
No.
So imagine going from that to One Piece, and I was like, whoa, no, it's really good.
Yeah. That was. Oh my God, I can't even imagine. Good God.
I need you to know. I watched So I played all through Kingdom Hearts, and I watched 4 seasons of Hero Academia before getting to One Piece. I watched 4 seasons of Hero Academia to finally go, I don't think I like this very much. But what I was gonna say is Hunter x Hunter, I watched it with my friend. We got to 20 episodes. I was not into it. I just couldn't do it. And I said to her, look, by 20 episodes of One Piece, I was in love with it. I think if by 20 episodes of Hunter x Hunter, I'm ripping my hair out, I just don't think it's for me, personally.
Yeah, that's kind of how I felt about JoJo's, I think.
JoJo's the same. Oh my God, I watched 3 parts of JoJo.
Yeah.
Because I was told part 3 was really fucking good.
Yeah.
I got to part 3 and I was like, this isn't that good. I don't understand what's going on. I loved part 2. And I was devastated when part 2 was over. And then we got to part 3 and I was like, this is not the same anymore.
No,
and I don't think I like it very much.
It's not. It turned into, I don't know. it turns simpler and more complicated at the same time in part 3. And then part 4 is like it's like a detective story, and it's like I think that part might be my favorite just because it's like, but the thing is like there's so much like that crosses over and also doesn't cross over, so you really could like jump in whenever you want. And it's just like I don't know. I just couldn't like, and I have a friend that's just like we made a deal. It was like I would watch JoJo's if he would watch One Piece, and I just can't help but feeling like he got more out of this bargain. That's just I can't help but feeling that, honestly.
Dude, JoJo is why people skip arcs in One Piece, because they probably think One Piece is like JoJo, where you can just jump into a part.
That might exactly be it, honestly, and it's not at all like because you really can skip like entire parts of JoJo's. There's different characters and like literally everything. It's like I would argue that's still not, obviously if you're reading or watching something, you shouldn't, like that's not the right way to consume it. But there's way less consequences than for something like One Piece for like doing something like that.
Well, One Piece, I remember thinking, I thought One Piece was self-contained arcs, because shonen tends to have self-contained arcs. They tend to stop it and then get back into it in like, a whole other story or something. Well, not a whole other story, you know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
And it's like little tidbits. So you'll have the main villain, he hangs back, and then like this is it. It's kind of similar to what Hero Academia did, not completely, but it's like the main villain will hang back, and then you kind of just get new villains per the arc, and then it's like, okay, they're just done with now. One Piece did not do that. While there were still some villains that, like, were defeated, watching them return, like Crocodile and Impel Down, I went, what?
Yeah.
What do you mean he's still relevant? This is crazy.
No, this is
Like,
a
I wasn't
gigantic
used to
world.
it.
Yeah.
I haven't even gotten into the religious themes of Skypiea, by the way, which is
Ooh.
probably one of the most important parts of Skypiea.
Let's do that. Please go on.
Right. A lot of people, when they watch Skypiea, okay, they hear what Zoro says. Zoro is such an interesting character in Skypiea to me. First of all, actually, before I get into that, one of the scenes I really like in Skypiea with Zoro is when Zoro's fighting that one guy. Forgot his name. But Zoro's like, fuck, I've got a disadvantage. I can't beat this guy because of like, the environment that we're in. This is before NL. And he thinks, oh, I'll just use my goggles and pretend that I can like, see what he's doing. And he says something like, these are like bulletproof goggles or some stupid thing that he says. And then the guy's like, no, they're not. And Zoro goes, oh my God, how do you know? And then it's, he's fucked up in that moment. I love that scene because that scene showed to me Zoro can't do what Usopp can do, which is bluff. He couldn't bluff. He tried to do an Usopp in that moment, but he simply doesn't have the same Usopp skill set to be able to. Because I'm telling you, Usopp were in that moment, Usopp would have ridden that shit out. He would have said, nope, these are bulletproof, whatever the fuck he said. I am going to beat you. And he would have scared his opponent in doing so. Zoro just straight up said, oh shit, he saw through it. And I was like, you're an idiot. You don't have that same level of intelligence that Usopp has, and it's very obvious. So I love that scene for that reason, because I really like the showing that Zoro cannot fight like Usopp. This is an Usopp specific skill, and he can't do that. He is brawn, he's not brain. That aside, there's a scene where they meet Connis and they're talking to her, and a lot of people will say because of Skypiea, Zoro is an atheist. That is untrue. Zoro is agnostic, in my opinion. And he says something that really resonated with me, which was they were talking about God, and God can do this and God can do that. And my favorite scene is Luffy yelling, "There's a God!" I absolutely love that scene. But they're talking about this fake, which we don't know at this point is a fake god, by the way. I remember thinking, what do you mean Luffy's taking on God? What the hell is going on here? But Zoro says something about the god, and then someone says to him, I forgot who it is, they're like, what, you think like God doesn't exist or something? And he said, I don't know if God does or doesn't exist. I just don't worship him.
Yeah.
Fair enough. That's not an atheist take.
Right.
Zoro is saying God could exist, but why would I worship that? And then it continues on to like Nami saying to Zoro, oh, there's a God out there, how could you fight that? And Zoro saying, I'm not scared of God.
I've never,
And then Chopper's like, whoa, he's so cool. He's so cool, right? But it's like, these are very agnostic things. And that always interested me with Zoro. Skypiea gave me a better insight with Zoro because it's interesting that it's not that he doesn't believe there's a god, but he's like, if there is one, I'm not worshipping it. And then it made me think more about Zoro and made me think about the fact that Zoro's life was cruel in the sense that he had his friend Kawina. She was just taken from him. She died by an unfortunate accident, and there was nothing he could do. He couldn't save her. He couldn't help her. She just died like that. All he can do now is make his name reach the heavens. So of course, why would he be afraid of a god when the whole point of his dream is to reach that height, right? To reach that god, to become the Master Swordsman. And the other thing is, of course, Zoro wouldn't worship a god that took Kuina away from him. So it's not that he doesn't believe in a god. It's that if there is a god, what would Zoro have to worship about that? This so-called god took his friend away from him out of nowhere. And it's just amazing how those little lines gave me such a good insight on Zoro and how he thinks in regards to, I'm not afraid of a god that has cruel intentions.
Right.
Essentially. Because that's what Enel was. He was a god with cruel intentions. He's not worshipping that. The same way all of Skypiea didn't worship Enel. And the religious aspect of Skypiea went further and further with Calgara and Nolan too. There are so many people that come out of Skypiea saying God doesn't exist, God's not real. That is not what Oda's trying to say. Because we have to remember Oda is a Japanese man from Japan, and the main religion, spirituality they worship over there, or they have over there, is Shintoism. Shintoism, 80% of people in Japan are Shintoists. That is a religion. And of course, that's where all the dojos are, the gates, all that kind of stuff. And
is that like a type
Shintoism,
of Buddhism, or is that like
I don't exactly know.
Okay.
I just know it's called Shintoism.
Gotcha.
But basically the way Shintoism works is well, the way a lot of it works, I'm not the master, okay? I don't know everything, but a lot of gods in Shintoism is these are people that have existed at one point in time. What they've done in that life has then moved them into this spirituality or the spiritual plane of god status. They literally have like, do you remember the story of the cat that was like the train guy, like the train master? Like the cat ran a train station in Japan. Have you heard of that?
I don't think so.
Basically, they have like a whole, like there was a whole thing. It was just a cat was a train station master. When that cat passed, it got its own little shrine, and that cat was elevated to a god status for like good luck and well-being and all that kind of stuff. And now there are more cats running like stations. It's like a whole thing.
That's awesome.
But that's what Shintoism a lot of the time is. It's a lot of these gods have been elevated to this status. That's Luffy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Gear 5.
Yeah.
That's what's happening right now. So Skypiea isn't an anti-religious statement. It's about faith and what you're worshipping and what you're praising. And you really see that with Calgara and Nolan's story, because the first part of that story is Calgara's about to give his own daughter over to the snake to sacrifice her. And they're doing that to try and cure the disease that they have. And Nolan is like, well, you're not listening to me. Like, if you listen to me, I can save you, blah, blah, blah. What do you, like, what do you think, like, I'm trying to do? And then Calgara yells at him, we were going to sacrifice my daughter, and you have the gall to say to me that I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm worshipping, essentially. So that's Calgara's faith. And Nolan was saying to him, that's bullshit. And Calgara obviously was saying, but this is what I fully believed in. This is where my faith is. Faith is so important in One Piece.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we get to the point of Calgara. Nolan's now about to be eaten by the same snake. And Nolan's saying, please, if you save me, I can help you. I want to help you. And then he kills the snake. Calgara kills the snake. And he says to Nolan, what did I kill? A snake or a god? And Nolan says, a snake. And Calgara says, wrong. I killed a god, but you are saying you can help me. So I have killed this god for your help. And that's such a powerful line, because that's not Calgara like diminishing his religion, diminishing his faith. That's him saying, I've killed my god because I have more faith in you in this moment.
That's beautiful.
I have killed a god for you to help me. So he's saying, you better fucking help me. That's
Yeah.
how much faith I have now put in you. And it's really frustrating when people take that as, oh, Calgara is not religious anymore. No,
No.
they are learning off each other. Calgara has now learnt, he can put his faith in other things outside of the God that he's been given. Nolan has learnt to not distrust that faith in a person or to not question that faith in a person, because that's an important aspect of a person. That because Calgara sees the snake as a god, that doesn't mean it's just a snake. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Nolan has to respect that aspect and that side of it. He must respect Calgara killed a god for his own faith in Nolan. And it's like, that's why when they see that little snake and they're like, oh, the snake had a baby, and they look at each other and they laugh. Because that's what the whole debate was about,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Is that a god or is that a snake? And at the end of Skypiea, about the fake gods and about faith and about religion, when Enel's being taken out and Skypiea is crumbling, as the people of Skypiea are discovering that their god is destroying the land to elevate himself to, these heights, to take over the moon, whatever the fuck he was doing.
Yeah.
Um, what happens at the end of Skypiea when Luffy is going to try, when he's about to hit that bell, he's about to ring that bell? What do we see the Shandia tribe, the Skypiea people, even the Straw Hats doing in that moment as Luffy's reaching for that bell? Do you remember?
Are they praying?
They're praying.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
who are they praying to, right?
Right.
Because they have just discovered, well, they're seeing that their god is a fake god. And Nell has labeled himself this way. So who are they worshipping? Who are they praying to? Who are they
I
putting their
never thought
faith
of
in?
that. Yeah, that's a good
Right?
point.
The same way Calgara put his faith in Noland over the snake is what the Shandia tribe people and the Skypiea people are doing. They are removing their faith from Enel, the labeled god, and they're putting it on Luffy. Essentially, they are elevating in that moment Luffy to a god status by putting their faith, by praying to him and hoping, please ring that bell, save us, deliver us,
Yeah.
from this hell,
That's such a
essentially.
strong
And that's what's
contrast, like from like
right.
from like people that would like use religion to like just almost like as a symbol to either do horrible things or believe horrible things, or even for like they would use it as a symbol and shield for the apathy in their hearts. Like that's such a strong
Yeah.
contrast to like put your faith deliberately in something that you put more faith in than what your religion, like symbols of your religion, like without diminishing it,
Yep.
but like having faith in
Yep.
something else and elevating it to that status. That's really cool. That's really
Yep.
awesome.
Yeah, the Skypiea genuinely, like, it seriously taught me, because I used to be very cynical, especially about religion,
Yeah.
incredibly cynical. It genuinely
Samesies.
taught me to not be that way. That when
Yeah.
someone has a faith, it is not my part to tell you, hey, you're stupid for that.
Yeah.
Don't be Nolan and say, that's just a snake. Because to me, maybe, but to them, no. And it taught me that it's not the people who have faith I should be mad at, it's the people taking advantage of that faith, such
Yes.
as Enel, labeling themselves as this fake god, using these people in the way Enel used the people of Skypiea. And it really changed my views on like how I talk about this to people with a faith that I don't have. Because it's like,
Right.
if you're in a situation where no one can help you, no one's going to save you, you need faith in something, whether that
Yeah.
be in yourself or whether some people want put that faith in another area. That faith is so important, and that's what Skypiea was. It was about that faith. Where does it go? Who is getting that faith? The miracles that Luffy is creating to be elevated to this god level that he's now at. That was the beginning of it all, of Luffy's Gear 5 formation and of the miracles that Luffy's making for these people and for people to look up to Luffy and pray to him. Same thing happened in Dressrosa. Dressrosa ended with everyone looking at Luffy in the sky as he quite literally defeats another fake god, celestial god Doflamingo, right? Celestial dragon. He believed he was a god, and Luffy tore him down from his throne as everyone looked up at Luffy and couldn't believe that it's finally over because Luffy, again, delivered them
Mm-hmm.
from this hell. So Skypiea was just a beautiful introduction to those themes of faith and like religion and gods. And it just keeps going and going and going, now all the way into as well. And I cannot wait to see what Elbaf's going to do because Elbaf's literally like God central, right?
Yeah. Oh, I can't wait. That's so beautiful though, because I feel like I don't know if this is something that everybody has to deal with, but that was for sure me. Like I was like, specifically with like Christianity and stuff like that. Like I was a little fucking like heathen, like running around like trying to be like, basically like you would be like, and this is, I was way younger, like probably like in college. Like I know this isn't the right thing to do now, but I thought that
Yeah.
like a good thing to do would be to challenge the way people would be. In this analogy, it would be to make the religious symbol just a snake. Like I thought that was good because in my head I would see so many things that people were doing that were just so clearly wrong, like not even what their religion would even want them to do. Like it's just so obvious, like so obviously the malice in their own hearts. And so I thought that was just what being religious was. And then later on in life I realized like faith is like honestly probably the best thing that anyone can have ever. And it took me a long time to realize that it's like, not only are there good people even within the religion that a lot of people can hide behind, but also like people can get strength from it, and like it's not in and of itself a bad thing. It just depends on like how far you take it and how far you, if you are misrepresenting it, like like if you're taking advantage of it basically. And it's just such a strong contrast between people who do that and then people who use the strength that you get from having faith in something more than yourself, and how they can use that to do greater things. So that's really beautiful.
Yeah, and faith can be in anything as well. That's what One Piece and Skypiea is about. It doesn't just have to be the god in the sky. It can be yourself, your friends, your family. Anything that you have a connection to can give you some kind of faith, right?
Yeah.
And again, that's what Skypiea is. They found this connection in Luffy, who was trying to save them, trying to ring that bell to end it all, and their faith transferred into Luffy, praying for him to be able to help them. And I really like in Calgara and Nolan's backstory, it began with, of course, was that a snake or a god? Nolan saying, oh, that's a snake, and Calgara going, wrong, that's a god. I like how afterwards Nolan cut down all those trees, and the people of Shandia were very upset with him. And I like that Nolan didn't hit back and go, they're just trees. I cut down those trees because, they're just, they were bad and they were just trees. He's learned to respect that and to respect their faiths, to respect their ancestral histories, heritages. And he knows what he's done cannot be forgiven. What's the point in arguing? But they were just trees. He did something that he didn't even ask if he could or should do, even if it was a tough decision. And he realized, what's the point of fighting about this? I understand how important this is now to the Shandia tribe. And of course, the only reason it was fixed in the end is because they had, God, I forgot his name, but the Calgara's like little fella, the other guy. I forgot his name. Told him that it's all a misunderstanding. They just didn't know, and Nolan just didn't want to tell you about this because he thinks what he did was unforgivable. And oh God, the scene of Calgara running out and saying, Nolan, I forgive you. I'll ring this bell so that you will always know you can always find us.
Yeah.
I was sobbing. I was just sobbing.
What do you think about like Luffy might be like connected, like related to like a descendant of the Shandians and stuff like that? I'm pretty sure we talked about that in the Reverie a little bit, but I forgot who brought it up. But like there's Seto, who looks like ominously like Luffy. Like it's actually like crazy how much. And so like I did watch a theory too on YouTube about that, and I just think that'd be so cool if like, because obviously Luffy would never care, but if he was connected to Skypiea in that way and he went back up into the sky determined to ring the bell, and like it was actually like he was destined to, like a Wiper's dream did come true. Yeah, Calgara's ancestor, like like that'd be so cool. That'd be so cool.
I mean, I'm definitely on board for it, but I'm just thinking of how funny it would be if Dragon went up to Skypiea and knocked someone up.
And then left. I mean, or
drop baby from the sky.
Well, I would say like, well, the only way that would work is if Crocodile was from the sky, and then if I found that out, I'd be like, okay, well, then there
Look,
we
in
go.
saying this, Calgara and Dragon do look suspiciously similar.
They
The
do.
two of them.
Yeah.
So if anything, it'd be like, ancestors past. Wait, oh my God, I've got it. Nolan and Calgara had a secret baby, and that is what became. That has to be it.
Yeah,
That's what became the Monkey D's.
yeah, that's what became the Monkey D's. Oh my gosh. Not off the table in One Piece. I'm still so ready to get like all of those the family like reveals, which I feel like we definitely have to get. Do you think there's any world where we don't learn who Luffy's mom is?
I mean, personally, I'm not too fussed. I can definitely see Oda going, eh.
Yeah.
Like, because blood connections aren't always important. Like, you know how so many people are like, oh, we're gonna learn Nami's mum and dad blood
Yeah.
ancestor. It's like,
I don't think so.
no,
I don't think so. I don't
no,
think because that would
no.
I would think that would diminish because it wouldn't have to. And I do feel like if Oda did show us Nami's blood relatives, he wouldn't let it diminish Belle Mare. But I do think that the story is undeniably like it hits a lot harder if it's like, Nami never knew her real parents, and then there's Belle Mare. Now, if there's a really sad story, did you hear? I forgot who did a video about this, but apparently, Strong World was supposed to be a movie based off of Nami's like
story,
real parents. Yeah, and Oda was like, "This is too sad. I'm not doing this," and then he changed it to Strong World. So to this day, I wonder, like, what was he about to show us? What was that?
Well, people use that as Oda's going to put it in the manga thing, and it's like,
Oh.
Oda uses the movies as a way to go into like an alternative timeline, right?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
He didn't drop it because he was like, oh, I'm going to put this in the manga. He dropped it because, as you said, it was a double up of Oda, and also the studio executives were telling him, well, we kind of need more than just Nami for a movie. So there were multiple reasons why he dropped it, but people use that as an excuse to be like, oh, Nami's gonna get a story in the manga, and it's like, no, she's not. Oda was just gonna freeball it with the movie because he can in a movie.
Yeah.
He can't put that in his manga because it just won't be relevant. That's my thing. It's like the only reason I can see Nami's story be like blood family being relevant in the manga is if it's about, blood connections on everything. Bellamer's parents, Nami's parents is Bellamere. That's what matters the most. But he already did that with Sanji and Whole Cake Island.
Yeah.
And he knew his parents. So it's like, what's the point? Why would she care is my question. Like, if she found out these are your blood relatives, she wouldn't care is the biggest thing. So it's like, it just doesn't matter to me, I don't think. But Luffy's mom is the same. And it's like, will she be relevant? I can see her not mattering personally. But at the same time, who knows? I don't know what Oda's going to do. But if it was Shandia connected and related, I would cheer. That would be so awesome.
Yeah.
If it was actually Wipers and Calgarda's like relatives ringing that bell. That would be fantastic, honestly.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome. The only reason why I think we will is because I know that like Oda knows who she is, and I feel like at the same time, I mean, you're obviously right. If it's not important, or if Oda decides it's not important, I could see him just never mentioning it. I really could. But I do think that if it's connected to the story in any way, I expect like it to be a reveal like that, like us to find out that that he's connected to the Shandians and Skypiea in like another way, or Crocomom. Like I expect it to be like a big reveal. I don't expect Luffy to give a damn, but I expect it to be something that is immensely important.
Well, look, here's the thing. Otis said he's like drawn Luffy's mother, or he's got Luffy's mother in mind, or whatever the fuck he said. But my issue with that is he talking about Luffy's blood-related mother, or is he talking about the dad?
Yeah.
Because she's like his mom. Come on, like
yeah.
We've literally had how many like showings of how much the Don cares about these boys to such a strong extent. So I wouldn't be surprised if one day Luffy yells out, "Oh, she's my mom" or something.
Yeah. That wouldn't surprise me either. Oh my gosh. I forgot. So I just feel like this could have all been avoided if Garp would have just explained more. I don't know. I feel like he showed up in Innie's lobby and he was like, "Oh yeah, that's your dad, and I'm gonna throw some cannonballs."
What if he doesn't know who the mom is? What if he has no idea? He's like, insane. Luffy, I don't know who your dad banged. I have no clue.
He's the most neglectful parent I've ever seen then, if he doesn't even know
of course
who.
He was.
Oh my God. I wouldn't be surprised, but I would be even more angry. I was like, bro, You didn't save Ace. You didn't like. You don't even know who your grandson's mother is. Come on, like I just. Oh my god.
Your stepdaughter, yeah.
My god. Yeah. I just.
Sorry, daughter-in-law, not stepdaughter.
Yeah, or I liked the idea because when I see like photos of like Dragon and Garp and Luffy, I always look at Dragon like you kind of just don't look like these two, or at least not like as like Garp and Luffy is like a 1-to-1 comparison, and then Dragon's just like his ugly ass face is just kind of like is just there.
It's
like,
how dare you, ugly? Ah, I can't believe you said that. But
more serious than I guess I don't know compared to Luffy and Garp.
It's from Dragon joining the Marines and understanding the horrors, unlike Garp, who didn't understand the horrors, apparently.
I don't know what that is. Like, he's been in the longest, but, like, he doesn't, because I know if Luffy was in the Marines, he would 100% be like, oh, this shit is corrupt, and he would literally become either a pirate or a revolutionary.
Because he's purposefully oblivious. And you know what? Going back to Skypiea, because that's who Garp is putting his faith in. He's putting it in the Marine system. The justice.
Okay, I guess.
That's justice is.
We just
and he's an old fucking dog.
Yeah.
You can't go past, right? He's an old dog, and he's like, no, I have to prove. He's stubborn. He's incredibly stubborn. And we saw that when Dragon, because we had that flashback of Dragon leaving, or Garp, like after Dragon left, and he's like, oh God, my son left the Marines. And it's like, I can't wait for the conversation that we are going to get between Dragon and Garp when Dragon has left the Marines, because I know it's going to be crazy. And I know it's going to be something like Dragon saying, Dad, this is fucked. This is horrible. I am seeing no justice here. And Garp will probably just not give up and say, no, this is it. This is justice. I have a sneaking suspicion the reason Garp is trying to fix the Marines is because he's trying to prove Dragon wrong. And I think that's not going to happen.
No, that makes a lot of sense. And that would be tragic, but it would also be his I mean, it's already is his character flaw, to be honest, but like that would be oh my God, that would be so sad, because it's obviously he hasn't like I think, okay, so the caveat to that is it could be beautiful because he could be proven right by Kobe, because Kobe for real would fulfill that. The problem is, like, one good apple does not change the institution.
Yeah.
Like, does
not change the tree.
It's not going to change, like, the tree. It could change something, and having one person believe in your dream probably means everything to Garp. To be honest, it probably does, because nobody else did. Aokiji was like, all right, this is fucked. Dragon was like, all right, this is fucked. Luffy, as a 5 years old, look at him dead in his face like, you're stupid. I'm going to be a pirate. And, like, no one believed in his dream, but Kobe does, so I feel like that could be beautiful, but like, yeah, I think that you're right. I know that at the very least, that conversation has got to be crazy. Like, it's got to be hard.
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
I can't wait for whenever that conversation happens so I can point in the face of people who defend Garp and say, I fucking told you so. I told you, because I know Dragon's going to eat that man alive and say, this is absolutely screwed up, Dad.
Yeah.
We are killing slaves. We are taking slaves back to the Celestial Dragons. What are we fighting for?
Wait, hang on.
Surely it's going to be crazy.
What do you think? That's a fucking wild. What would he possibly have to defend, knowing that? Because there's no way he doesn't know about any of those. That's the reason he's not an admiral. Like, he has to know.
Yeah.
Because if he was an admiral, he would have to, like, cause more suffering on like a wider scale. That's the only reason he isn't an admiral. So he has to know. So what the hell, what is his defense for like doing this? Like, I used to think it was because he's the leader of Sword. I mean, I guess we still don't know that he's not, but isn't that the reason he was captured by Blackbeard, was because, well, this is still, it's unreliable, I guess. Still, we don't really know for sure.
Well, I mean, he's captured by Blackbeard because he's just a very powerful Marine.
Right, and not affiliated with Sword. Yeah, like, yeah, whereas Kobe was affiliated with Sword, so that was like the bargaining that they used to be like...
Sorry, I always have to say this. Being part of Sword doesn't mean anything. You're still wearing justice on your backs. A lot of people want to separate Sword and the Marines.
No,
it's not possible.
No, it's not.
They are the same institute. It's just one of them doesn't have to push papers to have to do something.
Yeah.
The other one does.
And they can go undercover,
but Garp's,
that's it.
Yeah, Garp's defense is he doesn't take orders directly from the Celestial Dragons. Because remember, Sengoku said Garp rejected the promotion because he didn't want to work directly under the Celestial Dragons. So it seems to me that Garp is like, well, because I don't work directly for the Celestial Dragons, this is fine. It feels like purposeful obliviousness.
Yeah.
Of he knows that this is rotten to its core, but he's still trying to do something to fix it or to stop it. And by doing that, he's like ignoring these areas, and it's kind of what he's done with Kobe, in my opinion.
Mm.
Because Kobe, I'll never forget when Kobe said to Blackbeard, "Oh, the Marines wouldn't bargain with pirates," and it's like, we have
Yeah.
seen the Marines countless times bargain with pirates. The warlords exist,
Yeah,
or they existed
I was about to
because
say,
of bargaining
what the
with
fuck do you
pirates.
think the
So
warlords are,
my
Kobe?
so my head is like, what is Garp telling Kobe, or what is he not telling Kobe? Is he purposefully keeping Kobe in the dark to try and instill some kind of goodness in the Marines? But of course, that's dangerous because
Yeah.
otherwise Kobe will get swept up. And in my opinion, that's what's happening now. Now Kobe has that line of, "Sorry, Luffy, I have to take your dream from you."
Ooh. Do you think Kobe?
That's fucking
It is
crazy.
crazy. Do you think Kobe knows about even the celestial dragons and like the crazy shit that they're up to? Like that's a good point.
I I just don't know. We haven't seen enough of Kobe, in my opinion. I want to know,
I do
but I
too.
don't think we do know. Like if Kobe were on um what I don't know what happened on God Valley, no one does. My other sneaking suspicion is Dragon was at God Valley and that's what made him quit because he
Mm,
probably saw something horrendous there.
mm.
So my thought is if Kobe witnessed something like God Valley, would he do what Dragon did and think, "Hang on a minute, something's wrong here. I'm fighting on the side of slave owners and
Right.
not on the side of the slaves."
Right. Yeah.
Right? I just don't know where Kobe's head is at. I'd like
Yeah.
to know,
I do
but we
too.
haven't seen enough from him yet.
And he's in Sword, which I agree with you. I think that doesn't really like it doesn't really mean anything. Obviously, it has to mean something to the people in it. So that's what I want to know. What do they think they're fighting against, and how, to what degree are they like actually doing something? Because I mean, especially with the oh my god, with Vegapunk's message and like everything that was like revealed to the world, like if you're in Sword, what are you thinking right now? Like what do
Well,
you
remember we saw Vegapunk's message and there was a Marine that said, "Hang on a minute. Are we in the wrong?" Or he said something
Yes.
like that. Like it was a
Yes.
Marine questioning himself.
Mhm.
That's on purpose. And I always thought it was so on purpose that the first thing we ever see Sword do is save a Marine.
Mhm.
Not the common person, but a Marine. And people will be like, "Oh, but the slaves on Blackbeard." Only Kobe was helping those
Right.
slaves.
Yeah.
Sword was not there to stop Blackbeard. They were not there to save those slaves.
Right.
They were there to get Kobe back.
Right.
And that's so interesting that that's the first thing we see Sword do. Nothing for the common person, just to save one of their own. So I don't know what Sword's about. I have no clue. But they feel dangerous to me because it
Yeah.
feels like they literally can't just jump in, laws be damned,
Yeah.
and cause a fucking ruckus,
Yeah.
to do whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
They're
Which
pirates in disguise. But they're
yeah.
pirates because it's terrifying because they're still wearing justice on their backs.
Yeah.
So long as they have justice on their backs, there's a problem. Because if you walk around saying, "I am the good of this world, I determine what's right," you're a dictator, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's an
You're
issue. There's an
yeah.
issue of actually I can kill you because I've decided that's justice for me to kill you, right? No matter who you're killing. And that's the issue that I think people don't understand. So long as justice is on their backs,
There's a
there's a
problem.
problem. And there
Yeah.
always will be a problem.
I think that's why my favorite Marine ever is Fujitora, because he was
Yeah.
like, we still
He
don't.
said fuck
Yeah,
this.
he truly he said fuck this. I'm doing it, and then he made the public apology. Everything he did on Dressrosa just made him so much more interesting. I think he's the only one that I have faith. Like he does have justice on his uniform, but there's a something's going on there. Like I don't even know if he's a part of
Well,
Sword. He's doing something though. He's up to something.
Fujitora is something though, because he got drafted.
Hmm.
He was forced
Oh,
into
that's
the Marines. He
right.
didn't
That's
actually want to
right.
sign up to be a Marine. And we found out in the SBS that Fujitora actually used to be an outlaw as well in
Hmm.
his own kingdom, um, because he was fighting within, I think, the revolution of his own kingdom. Um, so he never wanted to be Marine. And this is why with Kaido's story as well, I love Kaido's story because
Hmm.
Kaido's story was about that. He was a political tool being forced to be a Marine, he got out of there.
Hmm.
That's what Fujitora is as well. Fujitora feels like a political tool. He's been forced to be in this system. And he had no idea. He was just following orders at first with Doflamingo and Dressrosa.
Hmm.
And then, of course, we see him through Dressrosa go, "This doesn't feel right. I don't think I should be following these orders
Hmm.
because I have talked to Luffy. Luffy seems kind. So
Hmm.
why am I fighting against this guy? And now we're watching it happen again in Mary Joie, where he went against the Celestial Dragons to save the slaves, and he went, "Nah, this is fucked up. This
Yeah.
is total bullshit." So I'm like, is he going to become a revolutionary? I can't see him staying in the Marines. He clearly doesn't agree with them.
Yeah, and he's too strong to. What are they gonna do if he's like, "Fuck this"? Like, who's gonna like, who's gonna stop him? Who's gonna
Fuck
check
this.
him? Yeah, like,
I love when he was setting down a meteor and the Green Bull went, "No, hey,
yeah.
stop."
It's like, no, fuck this. I am. I really want to know what he does going forward. Like, whether he's a part of Sword or not. I kind of like have to think that he's not because, like,
He's no way. There's no way.
yeah, because everybody in Sword that I've met, to be frank, like everybody in Sword that I've met, they're kind of sorry. To be honest, they're just kind of like the strongest person that we know maybe is Drake or maybe Kobe. To be honest, that's like the strongest confirmed member of Sword. Just
Well, the
sorry.
thing is, anyone in Sword believes in the Marine system, right?
Right,
It's
and
quite clear to me.
Fujitora does not. Like, no, and that's such a good point because he
No.
was drafted. So like, I'm so curious. This is what I like. Oda's like every time he releases information like that in like an SBS or something, I'm like, you bastard, because how is this gonna come into play
Well,
later on?
we found out Fujitora was drafted in Dressrosa,
Oh,
remember? And
really?
that's why, yeah, well, that's why his whole thing with Doffy and following Doffy's orders was interesting because we were watching him starting to question, why the fuck am I following this guy's orders? He's a psychopath.
Yeah.
I don't know who I'm fighting for right now. So we're seeing it hit a climax now with Mary Joie. And again, I don't know what that's going to lead into, but I really do sense revolutionaries for Fujitora because he
That makes
clearly doesn't fit
sense.
in with the Marines and he clearly doesn't like them
Yeah.
at all. He's just in this position because he was made to be in this position.
Yeah, or pirates too. I mean, the only pirate that he's met that's been like cool is Luffy, and obviously the Straw Hats. But like Doflamingo was a pirate, and he clearly like for whatever happened to him that made him cut his eyes out. I'm betting that was like pirates that did that. Or I'm pretty sure. Does he say that, or does he just say he watched something so horrible that he just cut his eyes out?
I think he said the world was like too cruel or something, or the world was just too yuck that he didn't
Mm,
want to see it anymore or something.
yeah,
I can't remember exactly either. I just remember that Luffy is the thing that made him go, for once I wish I didn't.
yeah.
For once I wish I could see.
That's such
Because
a
I bet
sweet thing to
you're very
say.
kind.
That's such a sweet thing to say. Oh my God. Yeah, he's
Right? So
yeah.
I can't imagine Fujitora staying on the opposite side of Luffy. Because as long
No.
as you're a Marine, you're against Luffy. That's just we're seeing it with Kobe now.
Mm-hmm.
Kobe has proved that to us. If you're a Marine, you're against Luffy.
Yeah.
Kobe even said, "Sorry, Luffy, I gotta stop you." So I can't see Fujitora wanting to be on the opposite side of Luffy at all. Because why would he want to be? This is a man that made him say, "I wish I could see again."
Yeah, that's so
Right?
sweet. And he flat out let Luffy go. And it's like other admirals have let him go. But actually, wait a minute. Every admiral that's let him go is an admiral I don't like either has left the Marines or I don't know how long they'll stay with the Marines. Kizaru probably, I guess maybe
Smoker.
he probably would. Smoker. Oh, fuck. Smoker.
Smoker. I love
Shit.
Smoker. I
Yeah.
love Smoker. I really
Yeah.
want to know what Smoker's up to because he doesn't like the Marines either. Smoker.
Yeah, he doesn't. He
He's
was
still in
ooh,
them, but he doesn't like
he
them.
was like talking to Fujitora one time too. I wonder what the hell they were talking about. Like, oh my God, that's true. I forgot about that. Smoker let him go, and Fujitora let him go. Kizaru probably I can see him staying with the Marines, but that was also just super sad. Like he obviously is just torn the fuck up. Aokiji already left.
Oh no, my job. Sorry,
Yeah.
Kizaru just makes me.
Yeah.
Oh, he makes me so angry.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I don't know what's going on with him.
Look,
To be
I'm
completely
gonna
honest.
say something that will piss people off. Oh, poor Kizaru, quit your job.
Yeah.
You have a job. Just quit your fucking job. Just say no. But it's a job.
Listen. I quit my job just to get caught up with One Piece. I definitely think he should quit if he's got to kill his best friend. I'm with you.
I understand the point of like, oh, but he's a Marine. He believes in the system. Blah blah.
I don't think he does.
Motherfucker,
though.
you are so well. That's it. I don't even know either. He's like
Yeah.
lazy justice, right?
Yeah.
So it's
That.
like, motherfucker, you're at a point where you're sobbing, you're crying, you got turned into a fucking pizza top
Yeah,
as you were
and
like
then-
rotating on Luffy's finger.
Yeah.
You killed one of your only friends, Sentomaru, as well. Said, nope, I'm not doing this. This is fucked up.
Yeah.
I'm going to help Egghead instead of the Marines. So what's your excuse, Kizaru? What fucking excuse do you have? Like, I'm sorry. When I know people, this is such a heated topic, and I know people go, oh, but,
Wow.
I'm sorry. When I see Kizaru going, oh God, I think you've made your bed.
Yeah.
Now lie in it. You have done this. Quit your job if you think this is such a bad fucking thing. You have the ultimate rebel in front of you trying to save your friend, Luffy. Your other friend, Sentomaru, totally gave up on the Marines. What is your excuse? Why are you still fighting under the Celestials?
I just think at this
I
point,
just
yeah, it's more work for him to stay committed to this than it would be if his symbol of lazy justice was true. I'd have just went home. At the very least, I'd have just went home. I don't know. Like so I agree with that. The only thing that would change it is if we get a flashback of like Vegapunk specifically telling Kizaru, no, you need to come to Egghead. You need to do what they tell you to do, either for your safety or for the betterment for, the future, whatever. That would fix it for me. But as it is, I do think it's within his character to just kind of, he was just there
I
for
was
the
gonna say,
ride.
don't
Which,
you think that's a cop out
yeah,
though?
it is.
Right?
It is.
Wouldn't that wouldn't
100%.
that be like Ace getting a flashback of Ace saying to go up? No, actually, let me die.
Yeah, no, that would be a cop out, and I do think that like it's within his character with what we've seen for him to have just for whatever reason believe this is. But that's the thing. I don't know if he believes in anything that he's doing. I think he's just doing stuff. Like that's the thing. That's why I don't have sympathy for him.
Well, that's the point of Kizaru. It's why I really like his character because he's like Garp in the sense that he's been groomed into this marine
Yeah,
system. That's the point. And the point of Kizaru is, oh, I'm just a gear in the machine. I just follow orders because you hear that all the time. He was just following orders. And I always say this, it's so easy to say I'm just following orders if the orders you are given do not directly affect you.
right.
Of course you can say, oh, yeah, that little girl, I shot her in the head. I didn't know that little girl,
Mm,
right? Now he is being confronted with a situation. He knows this little girl. He knows this old man. He knows everyone to do with the situation he's in. Now suddenly it's a bit hard to follow orders.
yeah,
So now it's hard to be a gear, right? In
yeah,
the machine. It's hard to be that turning cog because now you realize this is how dangerous this mindset is. The
yeah,
more you believe, I'm just following orders, the more you go down that dark path of I'm just a soldier who can't do anything about the status quo. That's what the Marines want you to believe. It's what the world government wants you to believe. This is just the status quo. And
yeah,
we are seeing that with Kizaru in full force. He believes this is the status quo. He's been groomed to believe that. What is he meant to do, he thinks? He can't quit his job because he thinks, well, I'm a gear in a machine.
yeah.
That's the danger of it, right?
And
So I
yeah.
like his character. I like what that was about. I just don't feel bad for him.
No, me neither. I think it's so scary because it mirrors like real world like examples of things that
Oh
have
yeah.
happened and things that are happening now in the real world. Like, I'm just a
Yeah.
cog in the machine. It is a cop out, and that's why I can't have sympathy because there's real people who think that way about the being in the military, about like
Yeah.
just
Yeah. I'm just following orders.
yeah, even though the orders that I'm given are terrible violations of human rights, I'm just a cog in the machine, brother. Like that's not gonna
Yeah,
get you out of this. Like
yeah.
you are still guilty. Like that's not okay.
Yeah, it's like you still pulled the trigger. Just
Yeah.
because you were told to pull the trigger doesn't mean you didn't pull the trigger. You had a choice in not pulling that trigger.
And you
And
did
you
it.
pulled it.
Yeah. It's such an interesting moral like philosophical question, but I think in practice it should be if you have a bleeding heart, in practice it shouldn't be a philosophical dilemma. You should be like, I can't do this, but if you've replaced your identity with the identity of whatever group you belong to, then I guess it's easier. And that is just a terrible thing to translate so perfectly with these characters. And I guess unfortunately that is what could be happening with Garp too. We don't have enough of him. I think we have enough to say that, but at the same time, like I want to know why in the fuck he does believe in this. So like, what Marine does Garp believe in so much that because for Kobe it's Garp. And like, what did that for Garp? Like, or is it just that he had a really bad experience with pirates that he was like, all right, pirates are objectively evil, but that can't be it because Roger was his friend. Like, so I want to know what in the world happened to him.
I just think that Garp I think he wants good for the people. He wants good for the world. He wants to protect people. It's similar to what Luffy's doing. They want to protect their loved ones. Garp wants to protect his loved ones. Dragon wants to protect his loved ones. Luffy wants to protect his loved ones. We are seeing the three different paths leading to that. What's happening with that? And Garp's idea of that is Marines, justice. But again, he's been caught now in this system to the point where he is now in a system that is no longer protecting his loved ones, but has now taken them away from him. And it feels like he doesn't want to accept that because that's what it did with Ace. Ace was a boy he loved, a boy he raised. Ace was a loved one. It took the system took Ace away from him, right? But he's in denial, in my opinion, of having to accept this because he's been in this system for who knows how fucking long. It is hard to have to understand and accept maybe this isn't the right way to go about it. So instead of leaving, instead of causing a ruckus about it, he's trying to fix it. And he's trying to fix it with Kobe.
The reason why I can't, because that is completely right, but the reason why I'm still so frustrated is because his loved ones were always in danger from the world government. Like, you can go back as far as whatever. If you make friends that are not in this specific demographic of people, you are making friends with people who will be persecuted by the world government. All it takes is him having friends inside different groups, and he would see, oh, everyone isn't safe if I serve the world government. Like, the world government will persecute people. Like, they persecute everybody. Like, literally everybody, except for the people that just blindly, like, obey, and then other Marines and stuff like that. So that's the thing, because you're 100% right, but, like, they were always in danger. Like, that's the thing that blows me.
Well, that's the issue, right, with Garp, is I think he knows that. So what he's trying to do instead is bring people into his group. He made Dragon a Marine. When we found out that Dragon was a Marine, that was mind-blowing to me. Of course, that makes perfect sense. Garp must have been bringing Dragon into the Marines, because not only is this a way for Dragon to do good on the world in Garp's mind, he can protect Dragon and the Marines. He was trying to bring Luffy into the Marines as well, Ace into the Marines, and he was trying to say, oh, Ace, why couldn't you be in the Marines? Then I could do something if you're in the Marines, of course.
That was never true, yeah.
So, right, and that was never true. Like, yes, maybe Garp could have stood up for Ace if Ace were in the Marines, but of course Ace is saying, but that wouldn't have changed anything. They would have killed me anyways. Like, Garp was basically at a point where it's like, doing this makes it easier for him. It might not make it easier for the other people around him, but it makes it easier for him to protect his loved ones. So I see where Garp is coming from. It's just he's so blinded by how terrible this system is. He doesn't understand. Someone like Ace would rather die than be in a system that tried to kill him in the womb at birth. Why would he want to be in a system that rejected him by default, just immediately? And Garp, in my opinion, a privileged way, just doesn't seem to understand that. He really can't understand why not just, like, imagine saying to someone, just come on over and join the group where everyone just wants you dead. Like,
that's why I can't, like, that's 100%, like, we were always in danger, like, with the world government, but, like, you're right. If from his perspective, bringing them in is a way to keep them safe, but it is delusion. What do you think would have happened? What do you think it would have done to his psyche if that worked and, like, Ace became a Marine and, like, that still happened? Like, what do you think that would have done to his psyche if they would have just killed him anyway?
If Ace became a Marine and he got killed anyway, God, it's tough because he would either have caused a ruckus, right, and left, in my opinion, or he may have doubled down to, I have to fix this system. I have to fix it, because he's in that mindset right now of, I just have to fix it.
Yeah.
So it's like, I am not exactly sure where he would have gone with that. But again, with Dragon, who was originally part of the system and left, and now Garp is going, oh God, I have to fix this. It just, Garp is just, he's a boomer.
Yeah.
He's a boomer.
Yeah.
He's an old dog. He can't learn new tricks. And I do feel bad for him. But I feel worse for the people around him that he doesn't understand in that regard. And it's like, I'm sorry, just Garp sitting on Ace's execution platform and going, oh, why couldn't you have listened to me? I don't feel bad for you, Garp.
No.
Because you're not the one whose head's about to be fucking chopped off.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
Ace's is.
That's what I'm saying. And that's why I wish Luffy would... I don't think Luffy would ever like express any feelings of anger. That's just not who he is. But I kind of want like some sort of confrontation, or at least the acknowledgement that he was wrong. But because of the character that both Luffy and Garp is, I don't know that we're ever gonna. I think he's went all in for Kobe, and I think if Kobe turns out all right, I think he's gonna be able to die happy. I think he's really gonna be able to cash out like I did my best.
Well, I'm hoping the confrontation comes in the face of Dragon and Garp, not Luffy and Garp. I'm fine with Luffy being like, oh, Garp's Garp, he's my grandpa. But the history is between Dragon and Garp, in my opinion, not Luffy and Garp. So I really want to see that confrontation, which I think we know. It's got to happen, right?
I think it has to.
It has to happen. Now that we know Dragon was a Marine,
Right.
what's the tea?
Yeah.
What's the gossip?
Yeah.
What happened? I need to know.
I completely agree. Now that we know that he was a Marine, there had to have been, because I think you're right. That's like, there's no way that like Dragon was just like, oh, I think I want to be a Marine. No, he was groomed into wanting to be a Marine, and then realized like, hey, this is kind of fucked up, and then he just left.
Yeah.
And then like, yeah, I know that has to be
His line, I saw no justice there.
Oh, that's
That
yeah.
That was raw.
Yeah.
That was so raw. I saw no justice that they spoke of.
Yeah.
That was so
That
raw.
sounds like some shit Fujitora would say. I think he will become a revolutionary. I truly do.
Right? Yeah. I feel that as well. I hope so. I need him to get out of there.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, there's truly nothing stopping him. I really don't think they're gonna like. Who could possibly stop him? He's just gonna leave. Do you have like a character that you hate?
I don't have a character I hate, like, that I'm not supposed to hate. Because, like, I hate Treble, right?
Yeah.
But you're meant to hate Treble. He's
Yeah.
supposed to be unlikable. There's no character in One Piece that that I'm supposed to like and I hate. Because I understand the point of all the characters when they
No,
exist.
that's fair. I was talking about like characters you're supposed to hate, because that's the only one that
Oh, then Treble.
Treble. Yeah. Cool.
I just hate snot, mucus. Yeah, it was
It
disgusting.
did make me want to throw up. He's not a good person.
Oh, and also Caribou.
Caribou
And Absalom.
Dirty stuff. Absalom is mine. That is my character that I absolutely like. I wish Oda could bring him back just so we could kill him again. And this time
He did.
See it. He did.
Oh, again?
Yeah, just kill him again. Kill him again. And this time I want to do it.
I mean, I found it so funny that he made this character Absalom and he made him a villain, right? And the whole villain point of Absalom is, yes, he was like a physical harasser, right? Licking Nami in the bath there.
Yeah.
But the other thing was like he was looking for a wife and forcibly trying to turn women into wives. And I was like, listen, speaking as a woman myself, making a character like that a villain was so therapeutic. And it's why when people go, oh, Sanji in the moment, I'm like, in my opinion, Sanji wasn't that bad because, yes, he went the invisible fruit and all that kind of stuff. I don't care what he's saying. I care what he's doing. And what he's doing is he's stopping that from happening and he's saving Nami. And he's going, how dare you do this to her, right?
Yeah.
I can appreciate that. And at the end of the day, it wasn't even Sanji that saved her. Nami saved herself.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's such a twist on the Victorian Gothic genre, which is women are useless and they're just there to be damsels in distress and be wives. And Oda took that, made a joke about it with Absalom being a villain, doing just that, and then Nami going, fuck yourself, and taking him out. That was quite literally Oda twisting that and saying, oh, Sanji's going to save her. Just kidding. Nami has to get out of this by herself and take this man out. That was the whole point of that. So it's like, Absalom's supposed to be disgusting in that regard too. He's forcing Nami to be a wife to a man.
Yeah.
How dare he? That's the most despicable thing you could possibly do, right?
I agree. Yes, that's what. And I just hated him. That scene, it was just made me like the most uncomfortable I think One Piece has ever made me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess the only reason why, cause like everything else is like obviously like it's left up to like every other thing in One Piece that has like themes of that is like, you know, left up to your own interpretation. Like we can't get that deep into it. But that scene just went on way too long for me. I hated it, and it made me just hate him. And I thought that it was The only thing I don't like about Thriller Bark is that Oda follows that up with a gag immediately, like where Usopp and Chopper come in, and then like it's just Nami's chest out, and then Usopp's like, "Oh, thank you very much." He like bows.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was like, listen, I get it, like titties. I like, yes, I would, but not the time, dude, not the time. Like,
I'm sorry. I must say I giggled. I had a laugh only because the immediate reaction going, oh my god.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. I understand. That would be me, but and obviously Usopp didn't know that was the situation. I was just still reeling from like that scene and how uncomfortable it made me. But like that's what I'm saying. I was like, I understand, I get it, but yeah, like time and place, dude. Yep. Time and place.
Honestly, I think he did that because the scene was so uncomfortable, so he wanted to break that with a gag. Otherwise, it's real,
actually
right?
no, 100%. Like that's when you put it that way, I guess. Because what would we do if we just hung on that scene for a while? That would be kind of depressing. I guess you're right. That's true. Just thank you is crazy. That's immediately. I mean, I felt so much kinship with Usopp. That's the thing. I was like, I mean, you got surprise tits. I get it. It's nice, dude.
He's literally those stupid memes of like when my girlfriend takes her shirt off and I don't know what to do, so I like hit like one of these or something and say yippee. And saying this, but we were talking about Skypiea and we're talking about how there are funny scenes in Skypiea, but we didn't actually talk about those funny scenes aside from the snake. My favorite scene in Skypiea that made me burst out laughing is when they got to the top of the clouds and they made it there. They're like, whoa, the clouds. Wiper, I believe it was, came out of fucking nowhere. And they were like, who is that? We got to take him out. Jumped on the ship, totally bodied Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji in one go and just left.
Yeah.
And Nami yelled at them, what the fuck was that?
Yeah.
Like she was angry at Zoro, Sanji, and Luffy.
Yeah.
And Zoro was like, what were we meant to do?
Yeah. that is kind of funny, actually. She came out, she's like, you guys aren't supposed to do that. That's not what's supposed to happen. But they got fucking washed.
She literally said, you three are useless. And Zoro was like, what the fuck just happened?
Oh my god.
It was so funny.
That's
because they were all so prepared and then they just got wiped in seconds.
Didn't they say that's because of like the air pressure or something?
It was the air.
Okay.
Yeah. That was foreshadowing for the fact that when the Shandias first came up, they couldn't beat the Skypiea people because of the air temperature totally like nerfing them in the moment. So that's what happened there. The Straw Hats got nerfed because they just got hit with air pressure difference and Zoro went, oh.
Fair. I think
they couldn't do anything.
Yeah, Skypiea is so funny. I think my favorite, other than the Luffy being king of the cave, I would say, first of all, Enel's entire fight with Luffy is funny as hell. Homie did not take that serious. Yeah, the face is hilarious. Gomu Gomu no Airhead, where he literally just makes himself stupid.
Octopus.
Yeah, and then Octopus too. Hilarious. Luffy, Sanji, and Usopp, that whole boat ride was funny. I love their dynamic so much. I need to see those three going to save the rest of the Straw Hats again in the story. I need that desperately. It was so funny.
Also, Usopp getting stuck in his like utility belt, and he's like, "This is such a good idea."
Oh my god! Or Zoro's like fucking Tarzan thing.
How can you forget?
You can't ever forget that. Fucking, and then he was sincerely trying to explain, all right, Nami, before you do this, you have to go exactly like this. You have to hit the and she's like, why? Like, why do I have to do that?
And then she like got across and she like kind of fumbled it.
And he's like, yeah, it's because you didn't go, see? That's why.
You have to do it. My other favorite was, oh, fuck. I just forgot it as I was gonna say it. I swear it had something to do with Zoro. Zoro was really funny in Skypiea. Oh fuck! When I was going to save Chopper, because Chopper was like falling, and he wanted to go get him. And he was like
swimming, and then something else comes out. Yeah, he has to swim. That was the most Looney Tunes shit ever too.
And then I believe he landed on the ground. He like got out from under the rock, and Robin looked at him and was like, that would kill a normal person. Yeah. And so it was like, oh.
There was also when they made it to Upper Yard, because they got separated from the Straw Hats and they were on the sacrificial altar. Zoro was fighting that fish in the clouds for like 30 minutes. They were all just watching, and he's just fighting this fish inside the clouds.
And the bird as well. Oh, yeah. The fucking huge
The fucking bird. I forgot about the bird.
Funny.
Oh my
I have
God.
a theory, but the reason a lot of people don't like Skypiea is because they're Zoro fans, and Zoro wasn't like his top notch.
He was comedic relief the whole time. He was comedic
He
relief
was
the whole
so
time.
funny. He made me laugh. He was just so fucking funny the entire time. The bird one was like he fought with a bird.
So fucking
A
funny.
bird.
So funny.
A bird laughed at him because oh fuck, Luffy made the joke where Cricket was like, oh yeah, the South birds know exactly where to go. And Luffy was like, wow, so Zoro's dumber than a bird. And Zoro was like, what the fuck? And then that very same bird is laughing at Zoro because Zoro's like, oh, I know where I am. I should go this way. And the bird laughs at him because he's like, I have to go north. He has a fucking south bird behind him pointing the exact opposite direction. And the bird laughs at him because he's like, wow, this guy's an idiot. And it's like, I can't get over how fucking stupid Zoro was in Skypiea. It was fantastic. And one of my favorite other jokes was when they all got separated in Shandia and they had to go find the skull. And Zoro was like, I know where that was. It was the right eye, so I have to go right. And then he turns left.
Yes, and then
and it's like
fucking Luffy was like, you're stupid, it's this way. And then Chopper's spectating like, they're both stupid. It's neither of those ways. And Robin's like, let's just go this way. Come on. Like,
let's go. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Zoro was so funny in Skypiea. Zoro was absolutely hilarious in Skypiea. Like, I love that kind of Zoro so much. He's still like that. When people say he's not like that, they're wrong. He was literally like that in Onigashima.
Oh, yeah.
When they got caught behind a wall and Luffy was like, you got lost again.
Yeah, and he's like, no. He's like, no. We could, it's simple. I led us here, and we're just gonna cut through the wall. And Luffy was like, okay.
Cut through the wall.
Like,
okay.
Right. I'm glad you thought of that. The bird also in Skypiea drops his ass. I forgot about that. He was like carrying
and he makes
him.
that face. Yeah.
Oh, but the other joke that I love is at the very end of Skypiea, where Luffy's like, he wakes everybody up, or he wakes Nami up, and he's like, we're gonna steal the gold. And then they just start yelling, but whispering, and Usopp wakes up like, shut the fuck up. like I'm trying to sleep. Okay, everyone can hear you. Just steal the gold, but let me sleep.
One of the funniest scenes was when Chopper was like, okay, I can't ring the whistle unless I'm like really in trouble. And then the second that guy shows up, he's fucking
rips the whistle like, help! Oh my God. Oh my God. God bless
He did
Chopper.
his best.
He did. People give Chopper a hard time too. Like, that's another thing that I don't like. Chopper's like, I don't know, dude. You just hate like cute things, I guess, if you give Chopper a hard time. That boy's trying his best.
He's a doctor. He's just trying to heal people. He doesn't want to fight.
Yeah, he does. That's the thing. Like, I feel like people think now that we're this far in the story, like everybody has to fight, and I don't think that's ever been the point. I think there's going to be times where everyone does have to, but not because they should be obligated to fight and everything. It's just sometimes you got to get down. But like, I don't think that's like he's the, like,
that's not Chopper's forte.
Yeah, exactly. He's not like they're not gonna get there, and they're like, no one's gonna be like, all right, Chopper, you got this one, and it's like, no, dude, they're not gonna like, if someone else can fight, like, they're gonna fight. Like, Chopper's just there to
Can
be
you
helpful.
imagine Chopper go?
Yeah,
Get it.
yeah. Go.
Me?
Yeah, that's how people act sometimes, though. Like, they literally expect us to get off the boat, and then like Luffy to be like outside his character enough to be like, all right, Chopper, go get him. Like when Zoro and Sanji are right there, and not to mention Luffy himself.
Didn't Usopp do that with Zoro and Zoro? Where like they landed on Zoro and they thought like it was like a cannibal tribe or something, and Usopp was like, Zoro, get them.
Yeah.
Why are you telling me to do that?
Yeah. God, that see, but that, yeah. Oh my God.
That's another thing. So if you skip Skypiea, you're skipping, like, in my opinion, you're skipping some of the funniest Zoro scenes. Some of the peak silliest Zoro moments that he's ever had.
I'm trying to think.
I thought it was fantastic.
I'm trying to think if he's more silly in any other arc. Like, is that peak, like, Zoro comedy in Skypiea?
In my opinion, Fishman Island is pretty high up there. He was kind of fucking stupid in Fishman Island. He literally went to the palace the second they got there and got so drunk he passed out.
Oh,
the second they got to Fishman Island.
Oh my God, that did
and he tried
happen.
to cut. And he tried to when they were descending, and they had the bubble around the ship, and he was like, "Okay, I'll just get the fish by cutting it." And they all went, "Stop!
Stop this!
There is a bubble around the ship." And then he tried to do it again, and Usopp said, "Stop! There is a bubble around the ship." And he had to be like, "Oh, okay."
That's true. He was dumb as hell there. Oh my God. but he wasn't getting his Skypiea. He was getting his ass beat. That was a good like source of comedy for me. Like he kept like that was legitimate Looney Tunes. It's crazy how
I want to believe that because he's like that in Dressrosa as well. Actually, he's really silly in Dressrosa.
oh yeah,
He's hilarious in Dressrosa.
he is.
And I want to believe, but the reason that's happening is because the Straw Hats are not the epicenter of like what's happening in the arcs. So Oda's allowing himself to go, okay, I'm gonna give this one to Zoro. I'm gonna let him be a little silly because Zoro, like, you know, it's not truly like important. Well, not important, but you know what I mean. It's like this isn't too serious to Zoro.
Yeah.
So he can be a little bit silly and he's not going to beat himself up about it.
Yeah.
Like Zoro wasn't beating himself up in Dressrosa because he had no idea what the fuck was going on.
Yeah. He was getting lost. He got lost. Well, he gets lost immediately. I think it's so funny. Dressrosa is so funny to me from Zoro and Sanji's perspective because from Sanji's perspective, he was looking for Zoro until he found Viola. And then it was like, well fuck this. Yeah, I'm like, I'm going.
Not my job.
Not my job anymore. And then Zoro was literally, he lost his swords. And then from until like maybe Act 2, like pretty much the entire Act 1 of Dressrosa, he was just lost running around looking for his swords with the Tontatas or one Tontata.
The lass between his tits, I'll never forget that.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I was like, wow, I wish I would. That was so funny. Look, I've said this before. What my favorite Zoro moment ever is when he's with the Tontata tribe and no one knows he's there. Frankie just runs into him and goes, Zoro, what are you doing here? And he's sitting crisscross on the floor with the Tontatas watching the Colosseum fight like a Super Bowl. Like he's like in kindergarten or something. And I'm like, and the girl's on her head, the Tontata girl's on her head going, what the fuck are you doing? Get up! We're meant to be on the battlefield right now.
Oh my god.
He's so funny.
He's
this is what I mean. When
hilarious.
people say time skip Zoro isn't funny anymore, I'm always like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Nah,
he's
funny.
still funny in the time skip. Especially in the beginning of Wano as well, where he was like, my tummy hurts when I eat this food. I'm just going to keep eating this food anyway. And then we found out it's poisoned.
They are
and he goes,
so dumb.
"Oh."
Yeah, he was like, oh, so that's why my stomach hurts. And Luffy says
That's
that
why,
as
yeah.
he's eating it, he's just like, you shouldn't eat this food. It's poisonous. And
Yeah.
Luffy's fully eating it too. God, they're dumb. Why do you think, speaking of Wano, how do you feel about public perception of Wano changing? Because there's a lot of people now saying that it was actually not good. Like, that's like an internet sentiment that people have now.
I saw it was the other way. I saw people saying it wasn't good and now beginning to warm up to it because it just ended and people were like disappointed.
I feel
And now
like
that
I've seen it. I've definitely, for me, it was kind of the opposite. Like, it was at first people thought that it was like great. And now I'm seeing some people, maybe it's just my corner of Twitter that I need to like cleanse. But now I'm seeing people come around and be like, actually, like, Wano is just like actually so bad. Like, I think people even say that it's like badly written, like, which I don't know. I didn't engage with it.
you want to know what I think it is? I think it's Egghead happened. Egghead was shorter than Wano, more condensed than Wano. So people are looking at Egghead saying this is one of the best arcs ever made, and they're looking at the arc before it and saying, actually, that was dog shit. Wano was not dog shit. Wano was just a lot that had to happen because this was the climax of Act 2 of One Piece.
Yeah.
So they're looking at Egghead and they're going, why couldn't Wano be like Egghead? Because there was no possible fucking way it could have been like Egghead because there was so much Wano had to do. In my opinion, it did magnificently.
Yeah.
I still think Wano is just magnificent. So I think it's just a recency bias of people have now read through Egghead and they've gone, oh, this is better than Wano. And they're not going back to give Wano the benefit of the doubt by reading through it in whole, which, as always, I recommend people do. Wano week to week would have been tough. I can imagine that. Together in one sitting, it's fantastic. It flows like butter. It is so smooth. And it's like, you need to go back and you need to give it that chance outside of the weekly release and you'll see Oda clearly knew exactly where he was going, exactly what he was doing. He had this planned out and it all makes sense, especially when you know everything. When you go back and read Wano and you now know everything.
Right.
It's fantastic, right? Wano was just fucking incredible. People who say that, I feel like they just want to be contrarian sometimes.
That's what I think. I think that that's a big
Right.
part of like, maybe not even necessarily just One Piece, but I think contrarian, like people like love being that. And it's just like, It was a fun time. I think, and this is my like defense for it if you think that there was stuff that we didn't get to, because I agree it would have been nice if Zoro would have like had some more things like with Shusui and Hiyori, like if that, but like my thing is like the story's not over. Like we could fully go back. There could be something that
Yeah.
makes that relevant. So that's why I never was tripping. You know, like it's not over. We don't, who knows what we have to get to. And especially since all the things that we didn't get are things that the characters themselves don't give a fuck about. Like at all.
Yeah.
Like I think it was enough for Zoro to leave it behind. He's not overly sentimental. I can see him paying his respects or like visiting the grave of Ryuma. But again, especially with everything that we had to get to, like who knows?
He doesn't care.
Yeah, you know, like it's there's bigger things to worry about. And who knows if we don't, we might still get something like that, like closure in another way, because like we're not done with Wano, or at least we're definitely not done with Wano's characters. Like I feel like there's
Well, dude, Zoro was too busy focused on getting out of hell to get to Sanji.
Yeah.
He didn't have anything else to think about.
Yeah.
God damn, he
Yeah.
couldn't even look at Hiyori
Yeah.
because he had to be
not
like,
even
Sanji,
once. Yeah.
the cook.
Yeah.
I got up to kill you.
Yeah, that is true. It's also actually thinking about that. What do you think Zoro's mindset was in Wano? Because like the last time he even like heard about Sanji was on Zou, and he was like, "Oh, we got to go get him. He's on Whole Cake Island." What do you think his mindset was in Wano before they reunited? What do you think was going through his head?
I want to I don't know about before they reunited. I mean, he was thinking Luffy's got to get Sanji back, right?
Right.
Point blank. He was
Right.
like, Luffy's going to get
Yeah.
Sanji back. I trust in that.
Right.
Because he even asked when he saw Luffy again, where is everyone? And Luffy said, oh, yeah, they're with me. So obviously he was
Yeah.
thinking, oh, thank God, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want to believe, and this is just me, I want to believe he saw the crew, everyone got together, and he saw Sanji and Luffy are now like this. And I want to believe he was like, what the fuck happened? In the week that they were away, why are they like so ooey gooey with each other now?
Yeah.
What in the world is going
Yeah.
on?
Yeah. Should have came.
What Zoro was actually thinking, I don't know, but can you imagine being in that situation? Crewmate's gone for a week,
Yeah.
comes back, and suddenly your crewmate or your captain are like hip to
Yeah.
hip. You'd be like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah. Yeah.
What did I miss?
That's it, which is another good thing. What do you think? Because I don't know if it'll ever come up. I think there's plenty of opportunities for this to come up, but what if Zoro learned about anything that happened on Whole Cake Island? Or actually, more specifically, what if Zoro learned about Judge and Sanji's family? What would he say? What would he do? What would his feelings be?
I don't think he'd say anything, but I think he'd silently accept or understand, wow, he's had a hard life. You know
Yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Because I think, if anything, it would make things click into place with Zoro with, that's why he didn't want me to give up my life in Thriller Bark. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But Zoro and Sanji don't talk to each other. They don't
No.
talk to each other. So it's like, if he heard anything, he'd be mad, no doubt, because Sanji's still his crewmate. He's still his crewmate. He still loves him. Not in the gay way. It doesn't have to be in the gay way. It can just be in the crewmate way. I always have to specify that.
I mean,
But he wouldn't like you. Do you remember the face that Jinbe and Sanji and like Nami made when Judge went by and was like, "Why do you care about Sanji? He's
yeah.
useless. He's
Scowling,
pathetic." Blah blah blah.
scowling.
Yeah, that's what would have happened. Zoro
Yeah.
would have done the same thing. He would have scowled because Zoro knows more than Judge, probably more than anyone next to Luffy, how, I don't want to say valuable Sanji is, but how fantastic of a person Sanji is to fight beside, right? They're the wings for a reason. They literally fight together. They breathe in harmony when they fight together. So imagine saying to Sanji, you're a failure. This is the guy that Zoro fights side by side with. Zoro knows that is not the fact, like not the fact at all. Matter of fact, that is not matter of fact, right?
Yeah.
So if anything, he would be scowling his fucking forehead vein off, if he ever heard that. He wouldn't say anything though. They just don't talk to each other. I wish they would, maybe
Yeah.
one day, but they're just both too, I want to say too broken to actually speak to
Well,
each
I
other
know, I know
regarding
that
emotional
Sanji,
stuff.
like I know Sanji's too broken. I don't know what, like, I mean, I guess, but do you think there's more like backstory for Zoro, like to give us more clarity on whatever the hell he's been through? Or do you think like he's just a simple guy? Like there's not really like.
I like Zoro's backstory for what it is. I like it for what it is
Yeah.
because we are literally seeing he is holding everything in
Yeah.
to reach his dream. Like he cried for Kuina, but he
Mm,
only cried for Kuina once he held her sword and said, "I will become a master swordsman and reach our dreams
mm,
together." After that, the only time he the only time he cried is when he lost to Mihawk, because that was part of his dream, and he
mm.
realized how out of reach it was. But Kuina, losing Kuina and embodying like Kuina's dream, I think that's all we need
Yeah.
to show us how much he loves people, how much he cares about people, and also just how much death affects him
Mm.
to such a heavy extent, to such an extreme extent. He lost one person and it changed his
Changed
life
his whole
forever.
life. Yeah.
Forever. So this is why when we see him trying to save the Straw Hats, Sanji or otherwise, Luffy or otherwise, we see and feel that desperation. Because we know if he loses anyone, that will change his life forever. The way Kawina dying changed his life forever. And I've always said Zoro is just always grieving. I don't think he's grieved properly. I never thought he did grieve properly because he's carrying Kawina's sword with him still to this day, holding her dreams. In my opinion, that is a man that is still grieving the loss of his friend. And he will be grieving to the point that he becomes the Master Swordsman. To be able to get past that, I think in his mind is how he'll get past that. Because I love him so dearly,
Yeah.
but it's like the story he has, I love it because it's so simple, but it tells you so much about him. And it makes me feel for him so much regarding what he's gone through and like who he wants to be because of what he's lost. And
Yeah.
I love that for him, but he makes me sad.
Yeah. He's definitely it's definitely simpler than Sanji, but they're both just kind of like it's just tragic how they just if they would just talk, maybe not even talk to each other, but I do think if they just talk to each other, that would probably be like best, honestly, just hug for God's sake, because like yeah, Zoro's it's simpler, but it's like yeah, if he's still grieving and like he just doesn't like process anything, and Sanji also doesn't process really anything, but I think he I don't know if he processes it better than Zoro. I mean, I guess he can't because Sanji literally is just fine with dying. So I guess neither of them really do it in a
Look,
healthy
he
way.
has now since Luffy.
Yeah, yeah, that's
Luffy's
true.
helped him.
Luffy has helped him,
But
but
Zoro and Sanji are hilarious because both of them are basically jumping in front of the metaphorical bullet at all times.
yeah,
So you've got one guy who is like, no, I can't let anybody die because I care about them. And you've got the other guy going, yeah, I'll just die if it means
yeah,
saving the
yeah,
people I care about. So they're in a constant fucking loop
yeah,
of I'll die, no, you won't. You know, I'll jump in front of the bullet. No, I'll jump in front of the bullet. It's just a constant fight between them, and it's why they work so well. And it's why they also just constantly butt heads, in my opinion. And Thriller Bark really, really showed that,
yeah. Thriller
I
Bark
guess.
is amazing for that. What do you, man? What do you? I I can't believe this is even a type of but there are real people who skip Thriller Bark who think that it's okay to skip Thriller Bark up until the nothing happens moment. Like I know this is a sentiment that people like I've seen this so many times, so many places, but they'll skip the entirety of
Mm.
Thriller Bark until Kuma shows up and then they'll start watching again.
Uh, dumb, stupid. Frontal lobe has not developed. Many thoughts about that. Um, it, I just don't get it. What are these people watching One Piece for?
They're
I don't understand.
they got to
It's
get caught up.
it's
That's it.
One Piece is just it's so about themes. It's so about narrative regarding everything connecting to each other and into each other. And Thriller Bark was so prominently about death and loss and losing a loved one from Ruma literally being a zombie, right? And Zoro having just recently lost a sword to fighting to get another one back from a literal dead man. Moria's whole crew, his whole thing, Cindy as well,
Hmm.
having died, being revived in such a disgusting way. And I always thought that Cindy gave, I don't know if this is what Oda meant, but she felt like a Marilyn Monroe type in the fact
Yeah.
that Marilyn Monroe has died. She still has no autonomy in our day and age, she's still used. Her face, her image, her voice, she is still used by us, by, societal pop culture, all that kind of shit. And everything has been taken from her, even to fucking, what was it, Kim Kardashian taking her dress
Yeah.
that was made for her, right?
Wow,
Cindy
man.
felt like display of that, and not a lesson, but a a discussion about that regarding Cindy was a very famous, beloved celebrity who died. She's quite literally brought back to life in this bastardized way through these disgusting means. She doesn't even have a sense of self anymore. She's just a zombie, quite literally brought back to be objectified.
Yeah.
Quite literally just to be objectified. That's what that felt like to me.
Yeah, it was.
And like there was so much regarding loss, grief, death about Thriller Bark. Brooke was the main point. It was the main point of that because he had experienced the greatest loss, the most grief possibly anyone could experience. And then the whole point is, what was he holding on for? How could he keep holding on? Because Frankie even said to him, if I were in your position, I would have just killed myself already.
Yeah.
I don't know how you're still alive. And then, of course, Brooke says, Laboon. Laboon is out there. And he said, it is no right of mine to think, is Laboon still waiting for me? He's not allowed to think like that, he says, because that's not his call to make. He just has to survive and try and find Laboon, because Laboon would be the one that would be hurting the most, in Brooke's opinion, because he thinks he let Laboon down. Hence why Brooke just sobs when he finds out Laboon's still waiting for him,
Yeah.
because there was a reason for him to keep living. There was a reason to keep going. Thriller Bug is literally about there is a reason to keep going. Even if you've suffered these kinds of losses, these terrible defeats, there's a reason to keep going. And Maria was such a disturbing uh, vision of that, of someone who's lost everything and everyone, and he's let grief consume him to the point he quite literally becomes a monster.
Yeah.
And he's yelling at Luffy, you will lose everyone, everything. You will not have any reason anymore to be doing what you're doing. Because that's what happened to Maria. He's lost everyone and everything, and he's still trying to hold on to his past through these disgusting means of zombification, right?
Yeah.
And that's just not the way to live, to survive, to grieve. And I always thought that's why it was interesting that Zoro was a big part of Thriller Bark, because again, like I told you, I think Zoro's constantly grieving his loss, and he's got a very sensitive relationship with grief and with loss, and that's why he was so involved in Thriller Bark. Now we know that with Kuma as well. Even Kuma's backstory now ties into the themes of grief, of loss, of how you move on how you keep living day to day, how there is something you can always keep living for. And for Kuma, that was Bonnie, even if he'd lost Guinea and that just destroyed him. So all these things tying together, Kuma's story, in my opinion, would not hit in Egghead had we not met Kuma in Thriller Bark, had we not understood the themes of Thriller Bark. So when people skip these things, it's like you are skipping whole areas of One Piece that are trying to teach you something that are so important, that can really help you get past things that you'll get past. If I skipped Skypiea, I wouldn't have had this idea I had of faith and how to approach that, how to feel about that. Thriller Bark, similar. I luckily have not experienced any kind of major loss in my life, but I'm sure when I do, because it's inevitable, Thriller Bark can be there to help me, to tell me how to survive through that, right? And that's what One Piece does, and it's what Thriller Bark does. I just don't know what these people are reading One Piece for.
I don't know. I think the thing about, because Gecko Moria and his I can never say his name right. Is it Moria, whatever his I never
I say Maria. And then people go, you sound like Maria.
I think that's fine. Like I immediately I think we should call him Maria. I think that's fine. But like I can't have sympathy for him because it's like, why is your whole crew just serial offenders? Like, why is it the whole crew? Like why is it?
Excuse
It's
me, I
literally the
forgive
whole
him
crew.
because he had Perona on his crew. Thank you
She
very
needs to
much.
get from round them. Then is my whole point because they got Hogback who literally brought a woman back from the dead to be his wife, and then there's Absalom. No, hell no. In my experience. You don't just have friends that are just offenders like that, and you're just clean. So I never liked Mori just for that reason. Like I was like, okay, but
Well, isn't that kind of a part of it though? Because Maria was going through this great loss, through this grief. He just wasn't himself anymore. He
yeah,
was kind of surrounding himself by people just no matter what. And
yeah,
these people might not have been the best people,
yeah.
such as Absalom, such as
Were they
the
his crew
hogback guy.
before, or did he get them after Kaido like decimated his entire crew?
I'm not 100% sure. All I do know is Perona was a little girl that had no one and nothing, and he adopted
Mm,
her. And that's why Perona thinks Moria is her dad, because that's a father-daughter relationship there.
mm,
Um, with the other two, I honestly have no idea, but I always saw it as he's just clinging on to someone
yeah,
and something.
yeah,
And even if these people are not the best people, he's just so grief-stricken.
yeah.
He just is trying to hold on to them.
No, it makes sense. I just hate him. I just hate them. Like, but yeah, he makes sense. The thing in One Piece that made me look at faith, not faith, look at death and loss in that way. It was the end of Marineford. It changed the way I felt and viewed my own loss that I've experienced. It changed how I view death in everything. Jinbei's speech to Luffy about like you've
Oh, yeah,
lost
hold on
this,
to what you
hold
have.
on to what you have, and then we get that montage of him thinking about all of his crew members that we hadn't seen for how many chapters because we just went through all of that in Marineford. It literally that changed how I saw like everything. It motivated me to keep going because to be honest, like when you go through loss, the worst part about loss, I love videos of Andrew Garfield talking about it. Like he lost his mother, and there's videos of him talking about how the worst part about it is the isolating feeling. From
Mm.
just like when you go through a loss, and it has this effect of making you feel like you're the only one that could ever possibly go through something this horrible, and thus no one can really understand you. Thus you are alone, and so it can trick you into thinking there's no purpose in connecting with people. There's no reason to keep going because what you're feeling now, you know, this person, your mom, your dad, like they're gone. That is a truth, and your life will always be less than what it should be because of that. And so like the isolating feeling can really trick you into giving up basically. So Jinbei's speech to Luffy, it changed honestly, it changed the trajectory of my life, to be completely honest, because that was the first, like, that was like a direct answer to like the rut that I was in because of my own loss and what I was feeling. And it was such a beautiful way for me to finally start like trying to move on until eventually Dressrosa when it finally clicked. But like, it was just such a powerful thing to have that. And I think that, you know, it's obvious why, you know, Marineford, you know, being like Luffy, like lost Ace in like this really like, and then we got to know how bad that affects Luffy, because like up until now he was just this goofy character that was like, you know, I'm not gonna lose anybody, and like he was determined and he did everything he said. Like killing Ace was like such a like, I know that hurt Oda. I know it did. I know he's like that's why people are like, you know, I don't like One Piece because nobody dies. It's like, bro, like Oda does it like, I think death just means so much to Oda. He's not
It
gonna
does.
waste it. Like he's always gonna make it
Exactly.
mean something.
Exactly. Yeah. I think he's even said something along the lines of, I don't just want to kill people in One Piece.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't see that as anything that should be like the one reaction, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like the shock factor, he doesn't agree with that. And
Right.
you see that with Ace. That's why he uses it so sparingly. Ace and Whitebeard.
Mm-hmm.
He uses it to begin error, like to begin um errors, like he did with the pirate error, and he uses it to continue errors, and he uses it for his own protagonist to start anew in a very fucked up way, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's like it's just amazing because he uses, in my opinion, he uses death, and he also uses the opposite of that, which is, you know, wanting to live and
Mm-hmm.
wanting to exist. He just uses that spirit of existence very, very well because, like Robin's I Want to Live, right?
Mm-hmm.
The only reason that was such a prominent moment is because we thought she wanted to die, is because she was going off to hand herself over, and then Luffy telling her, "You can die, just die next to us." And of
Yeah.
course, that's when she yells, "I want to live."
Mm-hmm.
And that's why Ace as well hits home because he escaped. He got his will back as well. And then he loses it in the moment, but he doesn't lose it because of anything stupid because he's going, nah, nah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's not why. It's
No.
because someone who took him in, who loved him, who cared about him was being mocked
Yeah.
and he couldn't stand for it because that's the kind of person Ace is. He just can't stand who he loves being brought down like that, and especially with Whitebeard about to die.
Yeah.
Everyone knew Whitebeard was about to die, so
Yeah.
Ace wasn't letting that
He's
happen.
not. Yeah.
And then Akainu, of course, went after Luffy in such a cheap move. I cannot
Yeah.
believe people say that was Ace's fault and not
No,
Akainu's.
no. I kind of was
For
just
quite
smart with it.
literally,
Like it was a genius play, an evil play, but it was genius. Like
it was,
you
yeah,
know, it was exactly what it needed to be. But no, yeah, that's, God,
yeah. We're seeing Ace put his love first in that moment. So when his final words are "Thank you for loving me,"
that hurt
that's
so
fucking
bad. That's
heartbreaking,
so
right? It's
heartbreaking. He died with a
heartbreaking.
smile.
But
He died with a smile too, and that's like, oh God, dude. I
mm,
hate like
but it's
we got so much like of him asking like if he even deserves to live, and like at the end he got his answer, and it's just so, oh my God, so beautiful.
mm. But I always thought the reason why, like, Luffy just going crazy, going insane, and then at the like when he's like, "Where's Ace? Where's Ace?" And at the very end, when Jinbei says to him, "Think of what you still have," and Luffy thinks of what he still has, he breaks down crying. He
Mm-hmm.
just sobs and he sobs and he sobs and he sobs, and Jinbei sits with him as he sobs.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why, going back to Zoro, I'm saying Zoro has to cry.
Yeah, he does.
We need him to cry. Like, yes,
Yeah.
he cried when he lost Kuina, but he's got new people in his life now. He's got new loved ones now. He's got a new family now. Oda clearly believes to get through something, the healthy thing to do is to cry.
Mm.
You have to cry. And it's like, Zoro needs to cry. I truly believe he's just bottling up so much. He has to let it out.
Yeah.
I need to see it happen because I need to. He needs to heal. He
Yeah.
hasn't healed yet, in my opinion.
Yeah.
The way Luffy healed, in the way Ace passed, it was just to cry. Because, like Shanks said, it's okay to cry, so long as you can stand back up.
Yeah.
That's the point. You cry, you come out of it stronger.
Yeah. I do really like that, and Sanji finally cried in Whole Cake Island, and that
Oh
was
yeah,
a
exactly.
big thing for him. Big thing for him.
I was talking about on his Twitch stream recently that when it came to Whole Cake Island, I really like how Oda used the weather for his imagery because the fight between Luffy and Sanji happens. Sanji cries silently, right? And then a
Mm-hmm.
storm begins brewing. Through the rest of that time, when Luffy is waiting for Sanji to come back, it's raining. It's
Mm-hmm.
hammering down, raining. And we can get the sense and the idea that the rain is not just symbolizing the storm between Luffy and Sanji, it's also symbolizing the fact Sanji can't cry in
Mm.
these moments because he has to put on this face to be able to deal with what he's dealing with the way he thinks he has to, which is stern. So it's like the rain, it's crying for him. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
He can't cry on the outside. We are seeing how he's feeling on the inside.
Yeah.
He's so fucking close to breaking at any time.
Yeah.
Then we get to Pudding,
Yeah.
her saying he's useless, he's
With
terrible,
his
and
outside the
that's
window,
yep.
and the rain starts coming, puts out. Yep. Yep.
And that's when he starts actually crying, and then he
Yeah.
goes to chase Luffy, and then finally he just breaks down and he says, "Luffy, I can't do this. I'm scared. I don't have the courage to run away. I want to go back to the Sunny." And Luffy says, "Of course, that's who you are." And then the sun
The
comes
sun
out, right?
comes out.
Because Sanji's had his
Oh my
he's had
God.
his cry.
Yes.
Like Oda, true, he obviously believes in the power of crying. He
Yeah.
obviously believes in that. So when I tell people Zoro needs to cry, it's because I've read this series. I can see Oda believes crying is a good thing. Emotions are a good thing. Zoro needs that. He needs to cry. I need it to happen for him so I can watch him heal.
What do you think if people would say that he had his cry and it was in the Baratier when Mihawk beat him? You think that was enough?
No, because that cry didn't have anything to do with like his own healing.
Yeah.
That was him being frustrated at a loss. Because we see that he does cry when he loses, because he lost against Kuina
Mm-hmm.
for the 2001st
Oh yeah, he
time.
did. Yeah.
And he cried and he said, "This is so frustrating." So Zoro's crying in that moment over frustration of losing and frustration and disappointment in himself. He wasn't crying to heal, he was crying because he was upset and he
Mm.
was disappointed. That's like saying Sanji crying outside Pudding's window was him healing, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. No,
And it's like he was not
that's true.
healing.
Yeah, he
He
wasn't
was in
healing.
despair.
Yeah, that's true. Ah, I don't. What do you think it would take for Zoro to like actually cry and like come to that like healing that he desperately needs? What do you think it would take?
Oh, come on. Come on. You know what I'm going to say. Sanji has to mutate.
Yeah, I mean, oh, that's such a good. I'm so glad we were able to bring that to the Reverie because that's such a good. Like, I need that to happen now. To be completely honest, like I desperately need that to happen.
So he needs to be in a moment of losing someone again so close to him that he loves, and it's just the added cruelty of he has to be the one to take their life from them. That's when he needs to hit his point of, this is too much, the world's on my shoulders, I can't do this, and he lets it out and he says, I can't do this. Like, that would be a perfect moment for him to finally have that healing of, I can't keep this in anymore, this is too hard. Like, Zoro just, every time I see Zoro going through things, I always think this is so tough on him,
Mm-hmm,
this is so hard for him.
mm-hmm.
He needs a shoulder to cry on, he really does, because I feel bad for him. And it's like,
Yeah,
this poor guy is bottling up so much for what? You know, for who?
yeah,
We know for what and we know for who, but he doesn't have to do it alone. He needs to understand there's a point where he doesn't have to do this alone. And like, that's why I really need to see him hit that wall and have that realization that he doesn't have to suffer in silence anymore. He's allowed
you're right.
to show, this is tough, this is hard, and for someone to say it's okay.
And I think that would do it for those. If for the listeners, if you haven't been a part of either the last conversation or the Reverie, this is what we need to happen now because I'm all in for this. It's like the mutation, like stopping in Sanji is a red herring, and fully like eventually it will come to a point to where Sanji will be taken over by the Germa genes, and the Death Pact is gonna be held up by Zoro, and you know Sanji's gonna be like, all right, you got to kill me, and Zoro's not gonna be able to do it. He's gonna cry, and I think it would be cool is when he's crying. Sanji sees Zoro crying, and then that snaps him out of it, like it's Shrek or like Disney or something like that, and he'll be like, "Oh no, don't cry over me, Marimo." And then they both just like they finally
They
say
cry together.
they cry together. They say each other's names for the first time ever, Zoro and Sanji, or Zoro says Sanji for the first time ever.
Sorry.
Yeah, and it's just they heal, and you know that's it. I think the only other thing that would make it better narratively is if Sanji like hits like Nami. I don't want this to happen, but like I do think there's so much drama you could pull from that because
Yeah.
Nami could forgive him like you were mentioning before. Nami could forgive him, and then that would just do. The only reason I'll say it again, I'm scared because if he does hit just any woman, what the hell is he gonna
Yeah.
do when he comes back to his right mind? I'm scared that'll just push him over the
Exactly.
edge.
Well, my thought is hitting a woman is what's going to push him over the edge. Like, if he ever hits a woman,
Mm-hmm.
especially Nami or Robin,
Mm-hmm.
that's it.
Yeah,
He's gone. He's
yeah.
lost himself, because that's, in my opinion, that's the last, one of the last things that are keeping him to his humanity.
Mm-hmm.
Luffy and Zeph and his crew, for that matter, are the things that are keeping him anchored. And he even knows that because of how he said, Luffy, what do you want? When what would you like, Luffy?
Mm-hmm.
When he was picking in the moment against Queen. So if he loses those connections to his humanity, he's done for,
Yeah,
right? If he ever hits a woman, he ever hits, especially Nami or Robin, he's done. That'll
Yeah.
just be it for him. And that's why it's like he feels like a ticking time bomb because there's all possibility that that can happen, not on purpose on Sanji's behalf,
Mm.
but just in any way. It feels
Yeah.
like that can happen because he's so vulnerable, in my
Yeah.
opinion, in
Yeah.
this state. He's so vulnerable and what can happen to him. But when it comes to Zoro, that's why I need a moment of Zoro saying, I can't do this. Because he just can't say that. In Punk Hazard, when he freaked out because he found out Luffy got beaten by Caesar, it freaked him out because he was scared. He was scared in that moment. And instead of saying, like, I'm freaked out, I'm scared, he yelled, Luffy, get serious.
Yeah.
And that's when Sanji said, oh, he's so tough on himself because Sanji could see exactly what was happening there with Zoro, that he was clearly afraid and he was
Mm.
trying to push through it. So I need a moment of Zoro just saying, I can't do this. He needs an acceptance of self that he needs the help the same way Sanji did, even the same way Robin did. Usopp did, even like just this understand. Nami, they've all had these moments of, I need help. Zoro hasn't had that yet. I really need him to have that.
Yeah, it would be therapeutic, and I think that's the best chance for it to come out. I think they both need that. I'm not even gonna lie. I think they both need that. But I think that's that. Yeah, Oda's not gonna give us that until it's like we're like this is for real the ending of One Piece.
Oh yeah, I fully believe that.
Like that is their character's like ultimate climax. But I desperately need it now.
Yeah. All I know is I'm just pretty convinced that whatever happens in the ultimate climaxes is Zoro will be a part of whatever is happening with Sanji, and Sanji will be a part of whatever is happening with Zoro. Not because I like them, but because like
They have
Thriller
to be.
Bark was that.
Yeah, they have to be. Yeah,
But
Thriller
Thriller
Bark was that.
Right,
Yeah.
Thriller Bark was about that. Long Ring Longland was literally about them being each other's support in the moment. There's been many fights where they are each other's support. Onigashima was quite
Mm-hmm.
literally, it turned into about them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like these two just breathe together. And I always think about how Zoro was the only one that noticed Sanji was out of line for a second at Onigashima, and he said, "What's going on?"
Mm.
No one else notices that the way Zoro did. Chopper literally saw Sanji's like broken body and went, "Whoa, that's so cool."
Yeah.
And it's like, Chopper, you are literally seeing fucked up, jagged body, and you're going, "Awesome." Meanwhile, with Zoro, Sanji literally just stumbled for a second, and Zoro said, "What's wrong?
Yeah.
What's happening?"
Yeah.
Like he gets him, he knows him. So it's like if, and he's the only one that has been told, if something happens to me, if I'm not myself, you have to kill me. Zoro's the only one that has been told that information.
Yeah.
So like, what, like if anything's gonna happen to those two by the end of the series, surely they have to be related to each
It'll
other.
be together. That's why I like Wano so much, is because there's so many things set up that I, for the long, until you brought this to my attention, I believed that the transformation, like that was like stop. I truly now I'm all in thinking that there has to be like there's some other resolution, because it fits so perfectly, and it also doesn't make sense for the transformation to have stopped that easily, to be honest. Like, the more I think about it, that sneaky bastard, Oda, like that
For
sneaky
me, it's
bastard.
just this is such a crazy power up for Sanji to have because again, he took a seraphim punch to the face and nothing fucking happened. And it's
Yeah,
like Zoro and Luffy were struggling against the seraphim, and you took one to the face like it was nothing. There's no way that there's not going to be repercussions from this power. There's just no way, right? Because
yeah,
that's a bit crazy. So it's like when people see that, and again, they make it about power scaling and they go, Baba, I'm not saying Sanji's better than Luffy and Zoro. I'm saying we are meant to see that and go,
that's
I'm
crazy.
scared.
Yeah,
This is scary
yeah.
with what's happening right now.
Gosh, I think, well, let's bring it back to. We managed to do it again.
So we talked about
Yeah,
Sanji,
we managed to do it again.
Skypiea.
We've talked about all these arcs and why people might skip them. Skypiea, Long Ring, Long Land. I can't think of another one that people would probably just outright skip, but I
Punk
think
Hazard.
people skip Punk Hazard.
I've heard they skip it because they think it's not like good enough.
Okay. Well, I think if there's one through line through everything that we've talked about, it's that every single arc is important, even if for no other reason, like even if the plot isn't progressing, which is nonsense because it always is, because the story is, I mean, it's the story's going on. The characters, there's always something that you can pull from, and there's always something for you to enjoy, no matter who your favorite character is. Punk Hazard's crazy. I don't know. I mean, that's literally the setup for whatever. I'm getting whatever.
You want to know, before we go on, people skip Punk Hazard and then they have the audacity to say Chopper doesn't do anything in the time skip. Because you skipped this fucking arc.
Okay. All right.
But we'll move on.
Yeah, that just heated. I literally floored my train of thought. Like I had thought about, and everything that I had down from what people were saying, their arguments. Punk Hazard didn't even occur to me to see if people skipped that, because it's like that's literally the setup for everything. Like literally everything. Like fighting Doflamingo, like fight Kaido. Like it's the setup for everything up until Egghead. So I would even.
They skipped Fishman as well, by the way.
Okay, well. How? We just came back. Like, how could you possibly skip Fishman Island? They just got back together. What could possibly? Okay, God, I kept it together this whole time.
It's just not good enough.
Oh my God, I kept it together this whole time. That actually bothers me. Like okay, whatever. So, okay, whatever. My closing thoughts are, if you skip any arc that isn't filler, and to be honest, I even like filler my favorite filler arc is the Ice Hunters arc, and then obviously G8 is amazing. But I guess, if you don't want to watch the filler, whatever, I guess you're just not a real fan. That's cool. But any like canon arc, you're insane. I don't know. That's my closing thoughts. Like, I just don't like, if you want to do it, like, I just don't think it's worth it. If your logic is like you want to get caught up to the series, I understand that. I started reading One Piece like a couple years ago, so I can understand, like, when I got caught up, we were still in Onigashima, so that was like pain for me. I get it. At the same time, though, I promise, if anyone's watching this right now and you like haven't watched, well, first of all, if you aren't caught up, we hoed you, because we went over the like pretty much everything up until now, so you've been hoed and you've been spoiled. But if you're thinking about skipping anything, I promise the journey is way better than having the feeling that we have waiting for each new chapter. I promise that journey is better than what we have to go through on the daily basis waiting for new One Piece to come out. So just stick through it. That's my closing thoughts. And
anything else?
I'm just upset now because you floored my train of thought with Punk Hazard is crazy. Okay, Fishman Island is crazy too, but I can't believe people would just skip that. Oh my God. What do you please tell them. I don't even know. I'm literally like just angry now. You give them some closing thoughts, Mel, please. Good God.
My closing thoughts, because this was originally about Skypiea. My closing thoughts is, for the love of God, stop reading One Piece like a battle shonen. Because yes, it's got battle shonen elements, there's no denying, but it's so much more than that. And this is why I love Water 7 and Enies Lobby, but it's why when people say, oh, it's my favorite, I always give them a bit of a side eye, because Enies Lobby is the most shonen arc, in my opinion, in the setup, in the fights, right? In the like the environment in general. And it's like, it's a good arc. It's very good, don't get me wrong. Do I think it's Oda's best to this day? No. I think he's far exceeded it. Far exceeded it. So a lot of people will skip Skypiea and then they'll go to Enies Lobby and they'll say, wow, Enies Lobby is his best arc. And you have completely removed Enies Lobby of its emotion by skipping Skypiea. Because Skypiea taught me, first and foremost, One Piece is a love story. Always has been. Always will be. It's a love story about Luffy and his crew. It's a love story about pirates and the sea. It's a love story about people connecting to each other, finding each other. That's what Water 7 and Enies Lobby was about. Robin finding her family, her crew, her loved ones, no matter how far apart, even if you haven't met them yet. There's someone out there in the world that loves you. They will find you. You will find them. Skypiea is all about that. And Skypiea Wiper is one of my favorite characters ever because of the struggle that he faced. He was fighting an uphill battle, unlike anything else, where he was losing so many friends and family from the Shandia tribe, trying to get this land back. That was 400 years of war, right? 400 years of war. And he was reaching a point where he didn't really understand what this was really for anymore until he remembered Nolan. And he found out that Nolan was also searching for him, for the Shandia tribe. And of course, the sobbing, the crying, the breaking down, everything. Wiper's struggle was tragic. It was unbelievably tragic because all he wanted was not only a home for his people, but for his ancestors to be respected, to find each other again. It's all he wanted. And between the sea and the sky, right? Two complete opposites, they still find a connection in each other. Between 400 years, they still find a connection in each other. And it's like, One Piece is about that. It's a total fantasy. It's a total romance. It's a total love story. And Skypiea proves that. So when you skip Skypiea, you are skipping, in my opinion, the heart of One Piece, the true heart of One Piece. Luffy involved or not, this is what One Piece is about. And Skypiea elevates every other arc. If you experience it the way it's supposed to be experienced.
Yeah, don't go on Reddit
Which is,
and
yep.
and then read the spoilers.
And right, and it's just proven so heavily to me that it is a love story when once again the chapter where Luffy rings the bell is called Love Song. Straight up, how can you possibly deny this, right? Because ringing that bell was the end-all be-all goal of Skypiea, and the goal was love, to remind people you love them. They're out there, you're out there, you can find each other, even across time, even across the seas. And that's just so beautiful. And that's exactly what all the other arcs are doing in the future. That's exactly what Enies Lobby and Water 7 is for Robin. So when you watch Skypiea, as you watch these other arcs, you'll have Skypiea in the back of your mind. Because you remember, this is exactly what One Piece is about. The themes that Skypiea have given us, elevated to us, Wiper's story, Nolan's story, Calgara's story, the people of Skypiea, their story, all of that. It correlates to everything we are seeing in One Piece. And it's what makes One Piece so special, right? It's truly what makes it so special, and it's why One Piece, and Skypiea especially, it just chokes me up. Watching this uphill battle that Wiper had to face, simply for love, for respect, for his ancestors, for his faith, everything, finally reach an end because of the love song that echoed across the land. It meant everyone paused when they heard that bell, and they said, what a beautiful sound. Because that's the connection, right? We're finding in each other, in these characters, in this world. It makes you appreciate each other, the story, the narrative, everything. I just think skipping Skypiea is so sad. Yeah. I think it's so sad. And I will always have that opinion. So it's like, you don't have to watch Skypiea, okay? But at least read it. At least read it in the manga. Because I understand the anime, some people think it's a slog. Okay. So read it. Please, yeah. It's so worth it.
Yeah. Do you think we're gonna get like a reanimation, like how they're doing Fishman Island? I'd love to see that for Skypiea. I would truly.
I'm hoping the Wit remake.
Oh, that's right.
Skypiea.
Isn't Wit doing like pre-time skip? Like, or is it? I hope it's all a pre-time skip. Honestly.
Well, we don't know how much, but my hope is they do all of it. I really want them to do all of it. I'm so hoping for that because. God, One Piece deserves that.
It does. It truly
really
does.
Deserves that. And I want to see Wiper again in 4K.
Yeah.
I love Wiper. I love him.
Wiper's awesome. Wiper is really cool. Well, I think what I have to say about Skypiea is just, it's really simple, but it's just like, I mean, if you like fun, you should probably give it a chance. I don't know. Like, I know that if you're the type of person to skip it, like, you have your reasons, but it's just like, I mean, One Piece is about just goofing around, especially pre-time skip One Piece. It's about goofing around, and then you find out something means way more than you thought it did. And Skypiea is the perfect example of that. I thought when I was first watching it, it's like, okay, it's cool. We're in the clouds. I don't know what that has to do. This is probably just going to be a fun adventure. And then we get some of the saddest themes that up until that point, maybe even the saddest up until that point. And you pay attention more, and then you get this really heartfelt conclusion with Luffy ringing the bell, and it's just awesome. So I would say, like, I would say honestly, even if you've watched it, give it a rewatch. Like, I rewatched it recently, and it was just such a fun time. You find out what your favorite joke is, but I would have to agree, it's immensely important and just fun. That to me is like always the biggest draw in every One Piece arc. If it's fun, and Skypiea is just so much fun. I like it a whole lot.
Look, Skypiea made me cry over a snake.
Yeah.
A snake. Nola, the snake. When Wiper found out that this was a snake that knew Calgara and Nolan, and she wanted to hear the bell ring because it reminded her of the Shandia tribe that once was, and she just wants to hear that bell ring again. A snake!
Yeah.
I'm sobbing! And it's like, this is fucking crazy. And again, that's why Luffy being stuck inside the snake. It wasn't just comedy. It was also, remember this damn snake. Yeah. This is an important element to the story. And she was.
Yeah. It was, yeah. And it was also a great joke.
And it was funny.
And it was really funny, for God's sake. Oh, man. Well, then that's our closing thoughts. Watch or rewatch Skypiea, or Mel is going to punch you in the face. So there you go.
It's true.
Yeah.
I'm on the way to your location right now if you still don't want to watch or read Skypiea. Yeah. I'm so serious.
Yeah, she'll do it. I've seen her do it. Okay, so just watch that.